Chapter 1056. Little butterfly, little butterfly, little butterfly. Every single word of Tu Huang contained these 3 words. She didn't know why she was talking nonsense at this moment, nor did she know what the 3 words little butterfly represented. She only knew that she was very angry at this moment. She had never been so angry since she was born. If Ning Fan's anger towards the silver-robed immortal emperor for destroying the punishment ring was 1, then her anger would be 10 or even 100. Ning Fan would always consider the worst possible outcome before doing anything. Hence, even though he was a little angry when his punishment ring was destroyed today, he quickly accepted the fact and began to think about what he should do next. However, Tu Huang was different. In her eyes, as long as Ning Fan was working for her, he would be one of her men. Those who touch her men would have to pay the price in blood. However, her protective emotions today seemed to be a little too much. As a result, for the first time in her life, her killing intent was so strong that it was out of control. So what if she lost control? So what if she is an immortal emperor of the Thunder Sound lineage of the Sacred Mountain? So what if she is 4 immortal emperors of the Middle State? So what if she is going to hunt him down with the strength of the entire Great Bay clan? This time, even if Light Buddha or 2 of the 5 supreme beings were to take action, she would not allow anyone to hurt Ning Fan. She would not allow anyone to touch her men. Tu Huang slowly stood up from the shoulder of the god-destroying giant and turned around. His right eye, which was the only eye that was open, was filled with an eternal coldness. He stared coldly at his pursuers from afar. Then, he gently leaped off the giant's shoulder. Riding the wind and stepping on the clouds, he walked towards the back. The sky above his head was filled with tens of thousands of lightning bolts because of her anger. The sound of the thunder was like the roar of an ancient giant. It was deafening. The lightning was like the angry eyes of an ancient divine being that could penetrate everything. With each step he took, Tu Huang's eyes became colder and colder like an eternal ice. Her aura force became stronger and stronger. Her beautiful body gave off a heavy pressure as if she was going to destroy the world. Every time her aura force became stronger, the injuries in her body would worsen. However, she did not care. Why did she mention the word butterfly in every sentence? Is she going to fight against 5 immortal emperors alone? Her injuries. Ning Fan frowned. He withdrew the god-destroying giant's momentum and stopped in midair. If Tu Huang was in his unscathed state, Ning Fan would not be worried about fighting against 5th, 6th Tribulation and 7th Tribulation immortal emperors with his half-step quasi-sage realm cultivation base. However, one should know that Sovereign Tu's current injuries were definitely not light. When he entered the Yellow Spring, he nearly died in an illusion technique. It was Sovereign Tu who paid a huge price to save him. As a matter of fact, Sovereign Tu's injuries were so severe that his cultivation base was almost on the verge of falling. If an ordinary person were to suffer such an injury, the first thing they would do would be to go into seclusion to heal. However, Tu Huang was willing to risk his entire body to help him. He had to fight against the 5 immortal emperors who were chasing after him with his cultivation level on the verge of dropping. Not long after, it was very likely that the Light Buddha would come chasing after them. With such a heavily injured body, would it not be a problem? Don't stop here. Let's go. Fly far away, leave the Great Wall. In at most 20 breaths of time, the Radiant Buddha will arrive at Lioli City and chase after me. I'm seriously injured right now, so I won't be able to block the Radiant Buddha for long. However, it won't be too difficult to block these bastards. It was Sovereign Tu who transmitted his voice to Ning Fan without even turning his head. He was urging Ning Fan to leave. Leave? Do I really have to leave the Great Wall in such a sorry state? Indeed. Once he destroys the punishment ring, he would attract the endless pursuit of the entire Great Wall. Only by leaving the Great Wall and the Supreme Pill's sacred region would this kind of pursuit stop. Because the people of the Great Wall would never leave the Extreme Pill's sacred region. In fact, they would rarely go to the outer regions of the Extreme Pill's sacred region. However, he had yet to achieve all the objectives of this trip. How could he be willing to leave in such a sorry state? Ning Fan's god-exterminating giant stood still in the sky. He was hesitating and unwilling. He had clearly abided by the rules of the Great Wall, but the punishment ring was actually destroyed by a sneak attack. He obviously had no intention of becoming enemies with the Great Wall, but he still attracted the full pursuit of the entire Great Wall. He had worked hard and paid a lot of effort along the way. However, the result was that he did not get the South Sea spring water. He did not find all the innate soul-nourishing spiritual herbs. He also did not find the physical body that Zhang Yu needed to possess. The 100 Flowers Emperor even went against the promise she made with him and refused to tell him the whereabouts of the 9 civet sacrificial treasure. This trip to the Supreme Pill sacred region could really be said to be a complete failure, and he achieved nothing. Especially in the second round of the mausoleum seizing battle. Everything was going smoothly in the first second, but he failed on the verge of success in the next second. His punishment ring was destroyed by a sneak attack, causing his entire plan to fail. Moreover, he had no choice but to fall out with the entire Great Wall. I don't think I have any enmity with that silver-robed immortal emperor of the Sound of Thunder clan. Why would he deliberately try to destroy my punishment ring? Could it be that there is someone behind that silver-robed immortal emperor who is secretly pushing for this matter? And Tu Huang. Tu Huang has suffered such a serious injury. Is it really all right to let her stay here and help me cover my retreat? What will you do after I leave? My punishment ring was destroyed for no reason and I became a sinner. Is it really all right for you to help a sinner and stand on the opposite side of the Great Wall? Don't worry. The 5 great supreme beings don't care about worldly affairs. The strongest beings in this world are just the Death Emperor and the Light Buddha. The sin of your punishment ring can only attract the Light Buddha's attention at most. That old bald thief alone can't do anything to me. But your injury, and your left eye, stop nagging. There's no end to it. Hurry up and leave. I suddenly feel a little annoyed by you. I don't want to see you anymore. Tu Huang's tone sounded extremely impatient. With a wave of his hand, a violent gust of wind suddenly appeared in the surroundings and swept the god-destroying giant away. After sending Ning Fan away, Tu Huang finally revealed a gentle smile that he did not even notice. That young man refused to leave because he was concerned about my injury. Hee hee. What an interesting young man. I really like him. Unfortunately, this gentle smile was soon replaced by coldness. It was because the people who were chasing after Ning Fan were getting closer to him. In front of him was a group of 5 immortal emperors and more than 20 immortal venerables and immortal kings. Only these people could ignore the forbidden power of the middle state and fly all the way to chase after Ning Fan. Only these people could chase after Ning Fan all the way to a place 100 li away from Luli City. Naturally, it was impossible for Tu Huang to show any gentleness to these people. Instead, he only had killing intent that was close to brutality. His killing intent was so terrifying that it made the people who were initially full of confidence feel frightened. All of them stopped in mid-air and did not dare to continue moving forward. They stood 100 zhang away from Tu Huang. Everyone was shocked. Tens of thousands of lightning bolts actually appeared above the head of the delicate lady in front of them. Such a strange scene where an immortal emperor's wrath was met with lightning bolts could only appear when an immortal emperor was infuriated. Who is this lady? This aura that was constantly rising, is so strong. She is no doubt an immortal emperor. Strange. This lady seems to be a member of the illusory sea tribe. She even walked out of the fire spirit tower with Ning Fan. Her identity as a member of the illusory sea tribe must be fake. But who exactly is her real identity? Does the great humble tribe have such an immortal emperor? Everyone, please slow down. It won't be too late to make a move after I ask about this lady's background. Even with the silver-robed immortal emperor's cultivation base of the 7th tribulation realm, he could not help but feel terrified when facing Tu Huang's aura force. Since he could not see through Tu Huang's exact cultivation base, he naturally did not dare to act rashly. Instead, he wanted to probe Tu Huang's background first. After taking a deep breath, he forced himself to calm down and asked slowly. Fellow Taoist, may I know which sect you are from? Are you a cultivator from the holy mountain who has been living in seclusion? Or are you from the three flames? Also, why are you blocking our way to pursue the sinner of the external cultivators? Could it be that you are on the same side as the sinner of the external cultivators? Do you know that this man has destroyed the punishment ring without permission and openly disobeyed the commandments of our tribe? Even though fellow Taoist is an immortal emperor, you are not strong enough to protect this man. If you insist on interfering in this matter, don't blame us for being impolite to you. The silver-robed immortal emperor's words were neither humble nor arrogant. Unfortunately, as soon as his voice fell, his eyes suddenly widened and his face turned pale. Then, he let out a blood-curdling scream. It was Tu Huang who was standing 100 zhang away. While he was speaking, his delicate body swayed slightly. It was as if he had moved, but it also seemed like he had not moved at all. However, at this extremely short moment, half of a bloody arm appeared in his hand. That arm was obviously torn off from the silver-robed immortal emperor's body. A heart-wrenching pain came from the broken part of his right shoulder. Under the pain, the silver-robed immortal emperor's face turned pale and he felt fear. He was a dignified seven-tribulation immortal emperor. His body had been tempered by the thunder sound body tempering secret technique of the thunder sound lineage. His body was considered strong even among the seven tribulation immortal emperors. Yet, this delicate little woman in front of him tore off his arm with her bare hands. Moreover, the woman's speed was unimaginably fast. He did not even see the process of his arm being torn off. What exactly is this woman's cultivation? She is definitely not an ordinary immortal emperor. Not even an 8 tribulation immortal emperor. Could she be a 9 tribulation immortal emperor? A thick and terrifying atmosphere instantly rose in this place. Not only the silver-robed immortal emperor was afraid of Tu Huang, but the experts who were chasing after him also had cold sweat on their foreheads when they saw Tu Huang's small body. I am the 4th ancestor of the thunder sound lineage, Leitsong. You've torn off one of my arms, which means you've become an enemy of the thunder sound lineage. How dare you? Who are you? Who the hell are you? Whether it's the sacred mountain or the tri-flames, there is no one like you among the famous immortal emperors. Could it be that you're from the outside world? Stop guessing. I don't mind telling you. I'm from the Middle Province's underground blood martial sect. What? He's the owner of the blood martial sect? Shit. Run. It's that rumored lunatic. You've harmed my little butterfly and you still want to leave. Wishful thinking. Cries of agony resounded in the sky. The violent wind carried the god-destroying giant away from the Middle Province. It flew past one grassland after another, all the way to the border of the Great Bay Grassland and the outer region of the Supreme Pill Sacred Region. It was Tu Huang's divine ability that sent Ning Fan away. Even if he flies at full speed under the forbidden power of space, he would still need to spend a lot of time. However, Tu Huang directly crossed that distance with his divine ability. This was the strength of a half-step quasi-saint. Since Tu Huang had the ability to send the god-destroying giant away, he also had the ability to break the giant's powerful defense. Ning Fan's defense was completely useless in front of Tu Huang. Judging from the chi of that radiant Buddha, he seems to be slightly stronger than Tu Huang. In that case, even the strongest defense of the god-destroying shield might not be able to withstand the radiant Buddha's divine ability, right? Ning Fan's heart sank. The god-destroying shield is really not enough to protect myself in front of an expert like Radiant Buddha. Did Tu Huang send him away forcefully because he considered that he was far from being a match for Radiant Buddha? Ning Fan's current injuries were also not light. He could not maintain the god-destroying giant for a long period of time. Since they were already far away from the Middle Province and the pursuers, he deactivated the giant's defense and landed on the ground with O Yangwan and the others. Be it Ning Fan, O Yangwan, and the others, all of their expressions were unpleasant. Obviously, none of them expected that the situation would develop to this stage. Husband, What should we do now? Are we going to the spatial node at the outer region of the sacred region and leave? Oh Young Wan sighed softly and asked. She understood that Ning Fan had a lot of important matters to attend to. He certainly would not be willing to leave. However, it was obviously not a wise move to continue staying in the Great Bay Grassland. Tu Huang could still save them from the pursuers right now. But what about the next time? And the time after that? Let's go to the spatial node first, Ning Fan sighed softly. Of course, he was unwilling to leave. Even if he had to face countless pursuers, he was not afraid at all. However, he could not ignore the safety of Oh Young Wan and the others. Or perhaps, he could go to the spatial node at the outer region first and send Oh Young Wan and the others out. Then, he would stay in the Great Bay Grassland alone and continue his mission. Husband, you want to go to the spatial node first and send Wan Air, elder sister Zhang Yu and Mr. Wu out of the outside world, right? You don't plan to leave and you want to continue staying in this place while being hunted by the Great Bay Grassland. Is that right? Oh Young Wan asked. Sure enough, I can't hide anything from Wan Air. That's right. That's my plan. Now that I'm being hunted by the entire Great Bay Grassland, all of you will definitely be involved in this matter. I have the confidence to deal with those immortal emperors, but I don't have the confidence to protect all of you under their pursuit. I'm sorry. It's Nguyen Air who is too weak. She can only be a burden to you. Oh Young Wan bit her lips and said. No. This matter isn't your fault. I'm the weak one. If I have the cultivation base of an immortal king realm, I certainly won't be schemed against and have my punishment ring destroyed. If I have the cultivation base of an immortal emperor realm, I won't even care about the rules of the Great Bay Grassland. I'll just run amok in this place. Forget it. Things have already happened. It's meaningless to talk about this anymore. I don't know if the people of the Great Bay Grassland have any special methods to track down the sinner who destroyed the punishment ring. If they do, it won't be safe even if we escape this far away. It's better for us to go to the spatial node as soon as possible and let me send all of you out. Nguyen Air won't leave. I won't leave. Little 8 won't leave. Ning Fan immediately felt a little surprised. He looked at Zhang Yu and Old Wu. The reason why Oh Young Wan was unwilling to leave was because she wanted to take the risk to stay by his side and help him. Of course, he understood her intention. However, even Zhang Yu and Old Wu were unwilling to leave. That surprised Ning Fan a little. According to Ning Fan's understanding, Zhang Yu was the most cowardly person while Old Wu was also the kind of person who would rather die than save his own life. Now, he was obviously in great danger. According to their characters, it would be wise for them to leave the Supreme Pill's sacred region in advance. Why would they stay by his side and refuse to leave? Was it because of the enslavement spell he had planted on them? After all, if the slave restriction was still in place, once the master died, the servant would also die. No, that doesn't seem to be the case. To Ning Fan's surprise, be it Zhang Yu or Old Wu Ba, both of their faces were filled with unconcealable anger. It wasn't a pretense, but a genuine anger that came from the bottom of his heart. Was she angry because he had been schemed against? With their characters, is there even such a possibility? Ning Fan expressed his doubt. However, doubts were just doubts. At this moment, Zhang Yu and Old Wu really hated that silver-robed immortal emperor to the core. I'm not leaving. I can't let this matter go. A mere 7 tribulation immortal emperor actually dared to plot against my master. What's so great about the Thunder Note lineage? When I was at my peak, I even beat up the strongest 8 tribulation immortal emperor of the Thunder Note lineage. What bullshit thunderclap secret art? I'll teach you a way to guarantee that it can restrain the other party's sound attack. Zhang Yu said indignantly. Mistress is right. Master, we can't just leave like this. This isn't Little Eight's style. We can't do things that will put us at a disadvantage. Since Master was bullied, we should let Little Eighth avenge Master. What bullshit immortal emperor of the sacred mountain? Once I, Little Eighth Wu Ba, use my dark luck, I'll definitely make sure that the Thunder Note lineage won't be able to return. Old Wu gritted his teeth in anger. He was even more decisive. He directly destroyed the ring and recovered his cultivation base. Immediately, black qi lingered around his body. It was his dark luck that had become a little manic because of his anger. Little thief, quickly help me find a physical body. I'll help you destroy the Thunder Note lineage. Master, I need to set up an ancient sacrificial altar. I want to cast a spell. I want to curse the Thunder Note lineage. As long as you give me the materials, I'll definitely make the Thunder Note lineage pay the price. Little thief. I still have an idea and I need little sister Nuan's help. Let's first find a place to settle down and use it as our base to take revenge on the Thunder Note lineage. Master. Little Eighth still has a plan. I need Mistress Nuan's help. I'll definitely make the Thunder Note lineage complain endlessly. The two of them were actually advising Ning Fan with sincerity. Ning Fan's anger that was triggered by the Thunder Note lineage's scheme had subsided. What replaced it was a smile. His heart, on the other hand, was filled with warmth for some unknown reason. First, it was Tu Huang. Then, it was O Yangwan, Zhang Yu and Old Wu. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. At this moment, he was facing a great calamity. He might even be hunted down by the Great Humble Clan at the next moment. However, there was actually someone who truly cared about him. O Yangwan was within his expectations, but Tu Huang, Zhang Yu and Old Wu were beyond his expectations. Interesting. Since you guys are unwilling to leave me behind, what's the harm in facing the pursuit of the entire Great Humble Clan together? It's just a mere Great Humble Clan. I'll just deal with whatever comes my way. Ning Fan was never a person who would suffer losses silently. Since he had suffered a loss this time, he naturally wanted to take revenge 10 times or even 100 times more. Of course, the first thing he had to solve was how to avoid being tracked. Old Wu destroyed the punishment ring in a fit of rage. It was a joyous thing to do. However, it seemed to have produced some kind of reaction, causing a trace of karmic connection to Old Wu from the direction of the middle state that was far away. Old Wu could not see this karmic connection. However, Ning Fan waved his 5 fingers and grabbed this trace of karmic connection between heaven and earth. Then, he understood it. Interesting. Did the people of the Holy Mountain rely on the karmic connection to track down the person who destroyed the punishment ring privately? If I sever the karmic connection, the other party can still find me all the way here. Qi Ning Fan's fingertip shot out a few rays of light and slashed at the sky. No one knew what he was slashing at. However, at this moment, the Holy Mountain lost its sense of Ning Fan's tracking. Moreover, the connection that was produced when Old Wu destroyed the punishment ring also disappeared. After that, Ning Fan flicked his sleeve. Golden light flashed across the ground and he, O Yangwan and the others disappeared without a trace. After an unknown period of time, the space at the place where Ning Fan left suddenly flashed. An old monk with a face full of white stubble walked out. This old monk was carrying a sack that was stained with blood on his back. The bloodstains were still fresh. There seemed to be something inside the sack that was struggling and trying to break free. However, it could not escape no matter how hard it tried. Stop struggling, Ji Qingling. With your severely injured body, you won't be able to escape from my fortune pocket. If you're in your peak condition, there's still a 50% chance for you to escape. If it wasn't because you protected the sinner's escape and used an illusion technique to conceal him, I definitely wouldn't have spent so much time chasing after you to this place. The karmic connection has already been severed. This young man has either left the Supreme Pill's sacred region or he has a heaven-defying ability that allows him to sever the karmic connection. And it shouldn't be the latter. Even I can't do this and he probably can't as well. The sinner has already escaped. Someone should bear the consequences of today's evil. 11 immortal venerables and 5 immortal kings have fallen. Fellow Taoist Tian Du's primordial spirit is severely injured and his cultivation base has fallen to the immortal emperor realm. The physical bodies of fellow Taoists Gu Ling, Bai Hua, and Buddha Sob have been destroyed. Only their primordial spirits managed to escape. As for the fourth ancestor of the sound of thunder, Song, both his body and spirit have perished. Look at what you've done. I know you have the protection of Supreme Ox Ghost and you also have a deep karmic connection with Supreme 10 Wasps. However, the crime you've committed this time is too great. It's impossible for me to let you go so easily. You can get rid of the death penalty but you can't escape punishment. I will gather a certain amount of lightning and refine a original realm stripping whip to punish you. Don't blame me for being ruthless. This is what you deserve. You should be crippled of your cultivation base. If there were experts of the Saint Mountain here, they would certainly recognize that this stubbled old monk was the strongest expert of the Saint Mountain. Light Buddha. It was not the rumored half-step quasi-saint realm cultivation base but the strange chi of a second-step quasi-saint realm quasi-saint. The chi of the second-step quasi-saint did not seem to belong to the old monk but the power it contained could be used by the old monk. The old monk spread his spirit sense and carefully searched the periphery of the Supreme Pill's sacred region. Finally, he confirmed that Ning Fan had already left. After a moment of silence, his figure flashed and he left the place. A few days later, a shocking news spread across all the grasslands of Great Bay at an astonishing speed. Even the Tri-Flame continent had heard about it. The legendary expert of the Great Bay tribe, the mastermind behind the Blood Martial Arena, had committed a murder outside Luli City a few days ago. He had killed a lot of people and was even captured by the Light Buddha of the Saint Mountain because he had helped a sinner escape. Every Great Bay tribe was ordered to offer a sufficient amount of lightning within 10 years for the Light Buddha to refine torture tools to punish the master of the Blood Martial Arena. No mistakes were allowed. In a desolate city on an inconspicuous Class 6 realm continent among the countless realm continents, such a piece of information was sent over at that moment. In a restaurant in the city, there were a few Tri-Flame guards who were dressed in black armor. They were drinking and discussing about the matter. There were very few cities like this in the Fierce Domain continent. Only some of the Fierce Domain continents that were located in important geographical locations would be guarded by Tri-Flame guards. Most of the Fierce Domain continents were in a state of desolation. In the restaurant, an old man in black armor was sitting near the window. He was dressed just like the other Tri-Flame guards. He was drinking as if there was no one else around him. At the same time, he was eavesdropping on the conversation of the other Tri-Flame guards. His beady eyes rolled from time to time. Ji Qingling, the master of the Blood Martial Arena. She should be the powerful immortal emperor who helped the fiend to escape. This is bad. This is bad. That woman must have a close relationship with the fiend. She must be one of the fiend's concubines. Otherwise, how could she sacrifice herself to protect the fiend? If the fiend knows that his concubine was captured by the Light Buddha in order to save him, he will definitely go crazy again. He won't run to the Saint Mountain in a fit of rage, right? However, that Light Buddha is really powerful. If it wasn't for the master of the Blood Martial Arena, the one who was captured would be the fiend. Sigh. Should I report this bad news to the fiend who is currently recuperating? The old man Zhu Hua's wrinkled face showed a hint of hesitation. If one took a closer look, they would realize that this old man who was dressed as a Tri-Flame guard and was secretly gathering information was none other than Old Wu. This Old Wu actually ran to the absolute forbidden land of the Great Bay tribe after escaping from the Middle Province, the Fierce Domain continent. Chapter 1057. Old Wu shook his head and sighed. He left a few taels of silver on the table and left the tavern. After that, he strolled around a few small markets in the city and bought some materials. Then, he left the Triple Flame City. As soon as he got out of the city, he flew towards the depths of the 6th grade Fierce Domain and arrived at a huge valley in the depths of the continent. As soon as he got close to the valley, several roars of beasts were heard. Then, 4 gigantic dragon-shaped devil beasts flew out of the valley. Their killing intent locked onto Old Wu. The 4 devil beasts all had the chi of a First Tribulation Immortal Venerable. Even with Old Wu's cultivation base, he could not help but feel like he was facing a formidable enemy when faced with their killing intent. Fortunately, when the 4 devil beasts saw that the person who came was Old Wu, they retracted their killing intent and flew back into the valley. Old Wu then calmed himself down and entered the valley. The valley was filled with the stench of the devil beasts' feces. There were also thousands of devil beasts lying dormant in this place. This valley was clearly a devil beast lair. Sigh. This malefic star really knows how to choose a place. Hiding in the lair of an immortal venerable devil beast to recuperate can certainly avoid being patrolled by the triple flame realm cultivators, but this place is just too smelly. Especially the devil chi in this place is so dense that even I can't bear it with my devil cultivation base. Yet, he chose to recuperate here. Old Wu cursed inwardly while advancing along the forked paths in the valley with ease. Occasionally, he would encounter devil beasts in the valley. Once those devil beasts saw him, they would retract their killing intent and not attack him. In the deepest part of the devil beast lair, there was a naturally formed huge karst cave. This karst cave was originally the dwelling place of an immortal venerable devil beast in the valley. Today, however, it was forcefully taken away by Ning Fan and turned into a place to recuperate. An extremely mysterious formation was set up at the entrance of the karst cave, making it difficult for the stench in the valley to enter this place. That formation also had the effect of gathering devil chi, causing the density of the devil chi in the karst cave to be 10 times or even 100 times higher than the outside world. Fortunately, the devil chi seemed to be controlled by someone. It was dispersed on both sides of the path, leaving some empty space for people to pass through. Otherwise, Old Wu certainly would not be able to bear such a level of devil chi and would not be able to enter the cave at all. Mr. Wu, you're back. Have you bought all the materials that Sister Zhang Yu needs? It was Ouyang Nuan and Zhang Yu who sensed Old Wu's return and walked out from the deepest part of the karst cave and asked. Old Wu sighed when he heard this. Sigh, I still haven't bought them all. This ferocious domain continent is too desolate. Although there are several Triflame cities on this continent, the cultivators here are generally not strong. The materials sold in the city market are mostly low-grade goods. Little 8 was lucky enough to buy a few of the materials that the Moon Matriarch needs, Zhang of. Zhang Demon, Zhang Wu, I said, however, Wu, Zhang Flame Wu. Me, of them Z Flame. And, he said. Wu Wu Chi and, he said, he. Brother Wu told them the news he heard from the city. Ouyang Nuan and Zhang Yu both frowned when they heard it. The Saint of Demon. The mountain. Was. The female Wu, of the Wu of the N was. Even though the two ladies knew very little about Sovereign Tu, they could more or less tell that he had a close relationship with Ning Fan. Otherwise, how could he sacrifice himself to save Ning Fan when he was in great danger? Ouyang Nuan immediately understood what Brother Wu was struggling about. Ning Fan had countless beauties and he was extremely protective of each and every one of them. This Sovereign Tu was captured because he wanted to save Ning Fan. Given Ning Fan's personality, it was absolutely impossible for him to ignore Sovereign Tu. That elder sister met with danger in order to save my husband, so it's impossible for my husband to stand by and do nothing. Even if Mr. Wu didn't say it, her husband would certainly have his own way of finding out this information. With my husband's ability, he must have known about this long ago. This also explains why the baleful aura coming from my husband's body is so frightening. I'm afraid he's really angry. Ouyang Nuan sighed. Zhang Yu, on the other hand, revealed a contemplative look, and said doubtfully, it can't be. The woman who saved Little by the other day should be an immortal emperor who has half a step into the quasi-saint realm. I'm afraid she's even stronger than me when I'm at my peak. When we were escaping that day, I also sensed the light Buddha's aura that slowly descended from the Great Brightness Temple. According to my judgment, the light Buddha's cultivation base is slightly stronger than that woman's. However, it won't be much stronger. Both of them are at the half step into the quasi-saint realm. Even though that woman's injuries are very serious, it's unlikely that she would be captured alive by the light Buddha. Capturing her alive is much more difficult than killing her. Even a first-level quasi-saint wouldn't be able to capture her alive. Is the information fake? Or could it be that the hidden strength of the light Buddha is far higher than the half-step quasi-saint realm cultivation base on the surface? Otherwise, it's impossible for him to capture another half-step quasi-saint realm expert alive. Is Master still recuperating? Yes. Let's not disturb him. Let's go our separate ways. That's good. The two mistresses will continue to stay here and take care of Master. Little 8 has already bought about 70 to 80% of the materials needed to set up the ancient sacrificial altar. We can start to set up the ancient sacrificial altar now. Oh right, when Master is done recuperating, I hope the two mistresses will tell Master that Little 8 has a precious treasure that he intends to give to Master. However, he needs Master's help. Fellow Taoist Wu, don't worry. When that little boy comes out of seclusion, we'll tell him about this. If that's the case, Little 8 will go and set up the sacrificial altar first. Humph. How dare you bully me, Little 8's master. Just watch how I'll deal with your thunder sound lineage. Old 8 chuckled strangely. He walked out of the karst cave and set up the sacrificial altar in the Devil Beast Valley. While he was busy, he hummed an extremely unpleasant tune. Ouyang Nuan, who stayed in the cave, cultivated a special secret technique under the guidance of Zhongyu. Her divine sense gradually spread out like moonlight. The materials are not ready yet. I'll continue to teach you the moon perception secret technique of the Moon Palace. When the materials are ready, I'll have to trouble little sister Nuan to refine some talisman weapons for me using this secret technique. Talisman weapons? Aren't we going to concoct pills? I'm not very good at drawing talismans and refining weapons. Little sister Nuan, don't worry. I'm not asking you to refine some high-grade talisman weapons. Hee hee. These talisman weapons are an important part of taking revenge on the Thunder Sound lineage. Since it's for this matter, Nuan Air should naturally do her part. Be it Zhang Yu or Old 8, none of them were easy to deal with. Without Ning Fan's instruction, they already had their own plans to secretly take revenge on the Thunder Sound lineage. In the deepest part of the karst cave, a naked man was sitting in the middle of the black mist of devil qi. It was Ning Fan. Each of the ferocious continents that belonged to the three flame forces was a ferocious land filled with devil qi. It was not difficult to set up a formation that could gather devil qi in this place. Ning Fan easily made the density of the devil qi in the deepest part of the karst cave reach 100 times that of the outside world. If it's an ordinary immortal venerable in the ancient times, they would probably find it difficult to even breathe in the center of such a large amount of devil qi. However, Ning Fan was a dignified ancient devil with ancestral blood. The devil qi in this place was not only harmless to him but also beneficial to him. Under the nourishment of the large amount of devil qi, the recovery speed of the injuries on his physical body became more than 10 times faster than before. In addition to the triple healing effects of the Black Star technique, Nirvana technique and Undying Bloodline, 70 to 80% of the heavy injuries that Ning Fan had accumulated in the Fire Soul Tower were healed in just half a month. As for the remaining 10 to 20%, he estimated that he would be able to fully recover in a few more days. While he was recuperating, Ning Fan's ancient devil cultivation base finally advanced to the 10th Nirvana Heavenly Devil Realm. If it wasn't for the series of life and death crises in the Fire Soul Tower, Ning Fan did not know how long it would take for him to break through the bottleneck of the 10th Nirvana Heavenly Devil Realm. This was probably the only thing that made him feel happy after he escaped from the middle state. However, Ning Fan could not bring himself to smile. Just as Ouyang Nuan expected, Ning Fan did not need Old 8 to report any news at all. Old 8 was willing to run errands and gather information for him out of goodwill. However, in reality, Ning Fan's rain technique was enough to cover more than 100 ominous continents. Even though he did not step out of his residence and stayed in the karst cave to recuperate, he knew the situation of all the ominous continents around him like the back of his hand. Within the range of his spirit sense, there were a total of 167 ominous continents. Among them, 13 of them were guarded by Triflame cultivators all year round. A total of 82 Triflame cities were within the range of his spirit sense. He had already heard about the news of Tu Huang's capture from the discussions of some triflame cultivators a few days ago. After completing another great heavenly cycle, Ning Fan slowly exhaled a mouthful of murky qi. His spirit sense transmitted a deep sense of exhaustion. The amount of devil qi that gathered in the depths of the karst cave was just too large. Using this amount of devil qi to recuperate required considerable control over the devil qi. Continuously controlling the devil qi with his spirit sense was a huge burden. Besides, he not only needed to control the devil qi in this place but also needed to use his spirit sense to control the thousands of devil beasts in the valley. There was a reason why the devil beasts in this place did not attack them. The reason was Ning Fan had forcefully controlled all of the devil beasts in this place with his powerful illusion technique. Among the thousands of devil beasts, there were even 4 devil beasts whose cultivation bases had reached the level of a newly advanced immortal venerable. However, they still could not escape from Ning Fan's illusion technique. After all, after the trip in the Fire Soul Tower, Ning Fan's attainments in illusion technique were no longer insignificant. All of his potential in illusion technique had been unearthed by Tu Huang. Currently, he could forcefully control cultivators who were 1 cultivation level lower than him just by relying on the strength of his illusion technique. As for the improvement of his illusion technique, it was all given to him by Tu Huang. Tu Huang. Ji Qingling, while Ning Fan was resting, he raised his hand and took out an eye that was as bright as a black gem from the storage pouch of his clothes. It was Tu Huang's left eye. His left eye was cold and did not have any body temperature. Of course, it was because it had been separated from his physical body for too long. Ning Fan's heart was filled with complicated emotions. His expression instantly turned cold. He did not have any romantic feelings towards Tu Huang. However, the fact that Tu Huang was captured had triggered the greatest fury in his life for some unknown reason. It was uncontrollable and uncontrollable. He was like a volcano that was about to erupt. He wanted to kill and drink blood. When the immortal emperor of the Meng family, Meng Baixiong, blocked his path and intercepted him, he was not this angry. When Xing Huan was plotted against and destroyed by immortal emperor Lei Yin, even though he was angry, it was not to this extent. However, when he heard that Tu Huang was captured by the radiant Buddha, Ning Fan's heart instantly went out of control. He almost wanted to kill his way to the holy mountain and save Tu Huang. Why would he care so much about a woman whom he had only met a few times? It was true that Tu Huang had done him a lot of favors. He even risked his life to save him when he was in great danger. According to Ning Fan's personality, it did not matter if the person who saved him was Sovereign Tu, Old Wu, or just a passerby. As long as the person treated him sincerely, it was impossible for him to ignore the person's life and death. It was only natural for him to go to the holy mountain to save someone. For the sake of Tu Huang, Ning Fan's heart was in a mess time and time again. He knew that it was really not normal for him to lose control of his heart, even if it was Ji He, Su Qiuling or even Mu Weiliang in his previous life. None of them could bring him as much confusion as Tu Huang did. Could it be that Tu Huang's importance in his heart is higher than Ji He and the other women? Is this possible? Ning Fan always believed that all unreasonable things in the world had their reasons. However, this time, he could not see through the reason. There was only puzzlement and bewilderment. The despicable clan had brought him too many questions. It was as if there were countless layers of mist blocking his sight. Ning Fan had promised to engrave the past that Sovereign Tu wanted to know into his left eye. Today, he had already engraved the past that Sovereign Tu wanted to know into his left eye. However, he did not know when he would be able to return his left eye to Sovereign Tuesday. Ning Fan kept Tu Huang's left eye and sorted out his thoughts. The fact that Tu Huang was captured by Radiance Buddha seemed to be suspicious. His thoughts were actually the same as Zhang Yu's. Tu Huang was a half-step quasi-saint realm expert and so was Radiance Buddha. Even if Tu Huang was severely injured, Ning Fan was only worried that Tu Huang might have used too much of his cultivation base and aggravated his injuries, causing his cultivation base to fall. He did not consider the possibility of Tu Huang being captured alive by Radiance Buddha because capturing him alive was much harder than killing him. It was already extremely difficult for immortal emperors to kill each other, let alone capturing them alive. How did Radiance Buddha capture Tu Huang? Was there someone else who helped Radiance Buddha? In order to capture Tu Huang alive, one must at least be someone at the same level as the 5 supreme beings of the despicable clan. Among the 5 supreme beings, Ning Fan only knew 2 of them. One of them was the old man with the surname Nyo from the Southern Medicine Temple, and the other one was the songstress who called herself Ah Feng. As for the other 3 supreme beings, he had no idea about them. He could not rule out the possibility that the 5 supreme beings had intervened in this matter after he left. Of course, he could not rule out the possibility that Radiance Buddha's hidden strength was far beyond what he revealed on the surface. It was useless to keep guessing. The news had already spread to the outside world that Tu Huang was captured by Radiance Buddha. He had killed a lot of people and his crime was also very serious. Thus, his cultivation base would be destroyed by Radiance Buddha. It was not an easy task to destroy the cultivation base of an immortal emperor expert. In order to destroy Tu Huang's cultivation base, Radiance Buddha ordered the 108 grasslands and 3,000 tribes of the despicable clan to offer the power of lightning. Once the resources of the entire despicable clan were gathered to a certain amount of lightning, Radiance Buddha would refine an original realm stripping whip to strip away Tu Huang's cultivation base and turn him into a mortal. A certain amount of lightning referred to the total amount of tribulation lightning that an immortal emperor would have to endure in a single cataclysm. One should know that a cataclysm was a hurdle that would either determine life or death for an immortal emperor. Since ancient times, countless immortal emperors had died during the cataclysm when they were trying to break through to the next cultivation base. There were also countless immortal emperors who were stuck at the 6th cataclysm for the rest of their lives because they were afraid of the arrival of the cataclysm. Naturally, it was not that easy to gather the same amount of lightning as the cataclysm. According to rumors, many of the tribes of the despiclism were gathering cultivators who cultivated the Tao of lightning in their tribes to create lightning. After that, they would hand over the lightning that they created to the sacred envoys who came to collect the lightning. Half a month had passed. The total amount of lightning that the 3,000 tribes of the despiclism had offered did not even reach 1/10 of the amount that Radiance Buddha required. According to the speed at which the tribes created lightning, they would need at least another half a year to gather the amount of lightning that Radiance Buddha required. After that, Radiance Buddha would use the amount of lightning that he had gathered to refine a whip and hold a public punishment on the holy mountain to destroy Tu Huang's cultivation base in front of everyone. There's still half a year left. There's still half a year left. Killing intent rose in Ning Fan's eyes. With his current strength, it was impossible for him to rescue Tu Huang in front of countless experts of the holy mountain even if he had half a year's time to prepare. Radiance Buddha could even capture Tu Huang. How difficult would it be to capture him? However, it was absolutely impossible for him to watch Tu Huang's cultivation base be destroyed and he would be reduced to a mortal. Theoretically, half a year's time isn't enough for a cultivator from the ancient times to improve his strength by too much. I need more time. If I can open the profound Yin world in this Supreme Pill's sacred region and enter it. There were still many 10,000-year-old time towers in the profound Yin world. As long as he could enter it, he would be able to use the hundreds of thousands of years of time that was sealed in the towers to greatly increase his strength. However, the suppression of the profound Yin world in the extreme Pill's sacred region was too great. With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, he could not open the profound Yin world in the sacred region at all. The extreme Pill's sacred region had great restrictions on external cultivators. The storage pouches and spatial magic treasures of the cultivators of the Despiclism's sacred region could be used freely in the extreme Pill's sacred region. However, if it's a spatial magic treasure from the outside world, it would be forcefully shut and could not be opened. This was also the reason why external cultivators needed to carry special storage pouches with them when they enter the extreme Pill's sacred region. The reason why the extreme Pill's sacred region refused to open the profound Yin world doesn't seem to be because it rejected the profound Yin world itself. Instead, it rejected me who is an external cultivator to open the profound Yin world. Unknowingly, there's a tremendous power of the world restricting me from opening the profound Yin world. However, what if it's a native cultivator of the Despiclism's sacred region who wants to open the profound Yin world? Will the power of the world here still reject this matter? There's another problem. The yin-yang locket is connected to my life. Unless I abandon this locket and cut off the connection between me and the locket, other people won't be able to issue the command to open the profound yin world. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. No one knew what he was planning. After another 6 days, Ning Fan's injuries were fully healed. He put on his clothes and walked out of the karst cave. When Zhang Yu and Ouyang Nuan saw Ning Fan coming out from his seclusion, they told Ning Fan about the words that old Wu left behind. At the same time, they also told him about Tu Huang's capture. Unfortunately, Ning Fan already knew about this matter. When he heard it again, his eyes only flashed with a cold light. He did not express much about it. His entire being was calm and peaceful. However, those who knew him well knew that Ning Fan's killing intent was sometimes even scarier when he was calm. Did that old Wu really say that he has a precious treasure to offer to me? That's right. Nuan Er is also very surprised. I don't know what kind of precious treasure it is. Perhaps it can help you in saving elder sister Qing Ling hubby. It's better for you to go and have a look. Elder sister Qing Ling. Ning Fan was a little speechless. He had not even done anything with Tu Huang yet, and Ouyang Nuan had already addressed him as her sister. This little girl has already unilaterally decided that Tu Huang is his woman, hasn't she? Unfortunately, this little girl is wrong. My relationship with Tu Huang is not as pure as that of a man and a woman. Ning Fan naturally did not explain much to her. Compared to explaining these boring questions, he was more concerned about what kind of precious treasure old Wu wanted to offer to him. After giving Ouyang Nuan and Zhang Yu a few instructions, Ning Fan walked out of the karst cave and found old Wu in the valley. At this moment, old Wu had already built a gigantic sacrificial altar somewhere in the valley. When Ning Fan arrived at this place, old Wu was dressed like a conman. He was wearing a green Taoist robe and his glossy green Emperor Jade Fate crown. He was waving the peachwood sword in his hand, which was enshrouded in black qi. He was jumping up and down in front of an incense table which was decorated with straw dolls of various colors while chanting an unknown incantation. Every time he waved the peachwood sword in his hand, a large black wind would sweep across the sky above the sacrificial altar. The darkness within the wind was actually formed by the materialization of black luck. Each of the straw dolls on the incense table was only the size of a palm. There was a note stuck on each of them. Starting from the first straw doll, the words on the note were, Thunder Sound Lineage's first ancestor Lei Yunghua, Thunder Sound Lineage's second ancestor Lei Jing, Thunder Sound Lineage's third ancestor Lei Chao, Thunder Sound Lineage's immortal king Lei Sansheng, Thunder Sound Lineage's immortal king So-and-so, So-and-so, So-and-so. This fellow seemed to be cursing the cultivators of the Thunder Sound lineage here. The fourth ancestor of the Thunder Sound lineage, Lei Tsong, was not among the many straw dolls. That Lei Tsong was the one who destroyed Ning Fan's punishment ring. Unfortunately, he was killed by Tu Huang and both his body and soul were destroyed. Otherwise, he would probably be cursed by old Wu as well. Ning Fan had never seen this curse before, so he did not know whether it was effective or not. However, judging from old Wu's serious expression, the Thunder Sound lineage might really face retribution. When did Master come? You've already come out of seclusion. This is really great news. Thank the heavens, thank the earth, thank fate for giving me a healthy master. Sigh, little 8 is really guilty. Ever since Master went into seclusion to recuperate, little 8 has been busy cursing the Thunder Sound lineage on behalf of Master. I've been too engrossed in my work that I didn't notice that my most respected and beloved Master has already come out of seclusion and will come at this very moment. Old Wu put down the peachwood sword and ran down the altar eagerly. When he arrived in front of Ning Fan, he opened his mouth and flattered Ning Fan's face. If it was any other time, Ning Fan would probably get impatient when he heard old Wu's insincere flattery. However, his attitude towards old Wu had slightly changed now. These absurd flattery did not sound as uncomfortable anymore. He shook his head helplessly and asked, You said that you have a precious treasure for me. What kind of treasure is it? What kind of effort do you need from me? Has Master heard of an ancient sacred sect called the Heaven-Piercing Sect? Have you heard of the ancient country trading formation that connects to countless illusory worlds? Old Wu's face showed 30% pain and 70% loyalty as he asked. He then untied a heavy storage pouch from his waist and passed it to Ning Fan. Inside the storage pouch, there was a small mountain of gold and silver piled up. The ancient country trading formation is also known as the heaven-piercing creation formation. It is said that as long as you have heavenly Tao gold and heavenly Tao silver, you can purchase everything from the other end of the formation. Chapter 1058. Ancient country again. Ancient country god exterminating shield was the first time Ning Fan heard of this prefix. The well-controlling diagram of 9 nether ancient country was the second time, and this was the third time. The two words ancient country might really have some real meaning and not just a general term. Ning Fan's eyes flashed with indescribable emotion as he looked at the mountain of gold and silver in his storage pouch. His previous speculation seemed to be correct. Sure enough, there was a reason why Old Wu was so passionate about the gold and silver of the Great Humble Clan. Originally, he wanted to find a time to interrogate Old Wu to find out the secret behind these gold and silver. Unexpectedly, Old Wu took the initiative to tell him everything. Tell me in detail what the ancient country trading formation is all about. Master, don't be anxious. Listen to Little 8 slowly. Old Wu sorted out his thoughts and continued. My master, old ancestor He Yun, loves to collect treasures in the world. He is very familiar with ancient and modern treasures and has done a lot of research on ancient and modern history. When he was still alive, he once told me this: the world is an egg. When the egg is broken into 3 pieces, 3 great true worlds are created. The primordial emptiness outside the eggshell is the place where countless illusory worlds are located. However, before the birth of the egg of the 3 great true worlds, there was no distinction between the real and the illusory worlds. The heaven and earth were not as separated as they are now. If the current cultivation era is called the era of the 3 realms, then there was an era before the era of the 3 realms. It belonged to the ancient countries and the ancient gods. Master only told me this. He wasn't willing to tell me more about the other great secrets of heaven and earth. He even said that knowing more might not be a good thing. When I asked him about the ancient countries and the ancient gods, he suddenly became angry and severely punished me. He ordered me not to explore those great secrets of heaven and earth. Ning Fan's eyes flickered. The world is an egg. There was another era before the era of the 3 realms. Ning Fan originally wanted to ask more, but after some thought, Old Wu's master didn't tell him too much. Old Wu probably didn't know the specifics, so he gave up. Later on, master obtained some strange gold and silver by chance. In his joy, he laid down a strange formation in front of me and made an unbelievable trade with the formation. He used 3 taels of heavenly Tao gold to buy a pre-celestial low-grade magic treasure from that formation. After the transaction was completed, master gave me a jade slip. The jade slip recorded the method of setting up the ancient country's trading formation and asked me to memorize it. I've looked at the jade slip. Not only does the jade slip contain a detailed diagram of the ancient nation trading formation, but it also contains a brief introduction of the ancient nation trading formation. It was said that there was an ancient sacred sect in the current true world, and its name was Heaven-Piercing Sect. This cult was different from the other sects and clans. They usually stayed hidden from the world, and there were only a handful of people in the 3 great true worlds who knew where Heaven-Piercing cult was located. The Transcending Heaven sect didn't care about the secular affairs. Occasionally, its disciples would travel the world, but they often considered themselves as the descendants of an ancient country. This sect lived up to its name, possessing the ability to penetrate the heavens and penetrate the earth. It could rely on a single formation to make transactions with the heavens. Be it the cultivators from the 3 great true worlds or the illusory dream world, as long as they possess the heavenly Tao gold and silver and set up the ancient nation trading formation, they can cross worlds and trade with the Heaven-Piercing Sect. Of course, cultivators from different worlds can also use this formation to trade with each other. However, if they don't trade with the Heaven-Piercing Sect directly, they will need to pay an additional cost. Moreover, there is a high chance that the transaction will fail. As he said that, Old Wu turned his hand and took out a jade slip, passing it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan used his spirit sense to break the seal on the jade slip and read its contents. Just like that, he read it for 1 hour. Only then did he withdraw his spirit sense. His eyes were filled with astonishment. Ancient Nation Trading Formation. There was actually such a strange formation in the world that could allow one to cross worlds and trade with others. Old Wu's master had even used 3 taels of gold to buy a pre-celestial low-grade magic treasure. The amount of gold in your storage pouch shouldn't be less than 100,000 taels, and the amount of silver in it shouldn't be less than 1 million taels. I don't think all of these are the Heavenly Dao gold and Heavenly Dao silver that you mentioned, right? I don't know about the exchange rate of gold and silver in the ancient nation. Instead of looking at the silver, I only look at the gold. If all of these 100,000 taels of gold are Heavenly Dao gold, then according to the exchange rate of 3 taels of gold for a pre-celestial magic treasure, wouldn't I be able to buy more than 10,000 pre-celestial magic treasures from the myriad worlds? More than 10,000 pre-celestial magic treasures, the restriction of the Xing ring was already gone. With Ning Fan's strength that was comparable to the second tribulation of eternal times, if he had 10,000 pre-celestial magic treasures with him, he wouldn't even need to use any of his abilities. He could just detonate 10 to 20 pre-celestial magic treasures and he would probably be heavily injured if he didn't die. Master, you must be joking. Of course, these gold and silver are not the real Heavenly Dao gold and silver. They just contain a tiny amount of the Heavenly Dao gold and silver. If they are refined properly, I can probably only extract 1 to 2 taels of Heavenly Dao gold from 100,000 taels of gold. As for Heavenly Dao silver, it's about the same ratio. In other words, I can only extract 1 to 2 taels of Heavenly Dao gold and 10 to 20 taels of Heavenly Dao silver. Moreover, Old Wu also mentioned the word refining properly. In other words, if the refining method isn't perfect, there will be some losses. The amount of Heavenly Dao gold and silver that I can obtain might not be as much as I expected. However, I have 3 questions. Please ask, Master. It's Little Eight's greatest honor to be able to answer your doubts. The first question. Do all the gold and silver of Great Bay contain the Heavenly Dao gold and silver? According to Little Eight's investigation, all the gold and silver of Great Bay contain the Heavenly Dao gold and silver. The second question. Do you think the experts of Great Bay know that the currency circulating in their clan contains the Heavenly Dao gold and silver? Ordinary people definitely don't know about it. However, it might not be the case for the experts who have lived through the ancient times. After all, the people of Great Bay are the descendants of the saints of the true world. It's only natural that someone in their clan knows about the existence of the Heavenly Dao gold and silver. However, since those people allow the currency that contains the Heavenly Dao gold and silver to circulate freely, there's only one possibility. Either they don't know the refining method of the Heavenly Dao gold and silver, or they don't know the method of setting up the ancient country trading formation. My master once said that the refining method of the Heavenly Dao gold and silver needs to be set up in the ancient country refining formation. Be it the refining formation or the trading formation, they're all top secrets between heaven and earth. Since the cultivators of this clan allow the Heavenly Dao gold and silver to circulate freely in the hands of ordinary people, they must be lacking either the refining formation or the trading formation. Maybe they're lacking both. Old Wu's analysis was quite consistent with Ning Fan's speculation. After a moment of silence, he asked again. The third question. Do you have the formation map of the ancient country refining formation? I do have the formation map. However, with Little Eight's current strength, it's a little difficult for me to set up this formation. It'll be even more difficult to control it. If Master wants to refine the gold and silver, it's better for you to do it yourself. If you let Little Eight do it, you might lose a lot of the Heavenly Dao gold and silver due to improper methods. Old Wu took out a jade slip and passed it to Ning Fan. This jade slip recorded the ancient country refining formation. Now that both the refining formation and the trading formation were in his hands, Ning Fan could use his own strength to refine the Heavenly Dao gold and silver from the Great Bay. You've given me 2 formation maps and a large amount of Great Bay's gold and silver. They might be of great use to me. I appreciate your kindness. We might have had some conflicts in the past, but from today onwards, we'll write them off. In return, I can promise you a condition as a reward. As long as it doesn't exceed my bottom line, any reward is fine. Even removing the restriction on your body and returning your freedom is also fine. I have to leave the valley for a few days because I have some matters to attend to. All of you stay here and don't leave this valley unless there's something important. As for the reward, you can take your time to think about it. Ning Fan kept the storage pouch that was filled with gold and silver and flew out of the valley in a flash. After he left, the devil beasts that he had planted the illusion technique on forcefully broke free from the illusion in his sea of consciousness. Unfortunately, the illusion technique was too powerful. Even the 4 immortal venerate devil beasts could not break free from the restraint of the illusion technique. They still had to obey Ning Fan's commands. Old Wu was so surprised that he could not close his mouth. He had never expected that the evil star would actually be generous enough to give him a reward just because he was soft-hearted and gave him some treasures. It was fine even if he could remove the restriction on him and regain his freedom. Freedom. What a nostalgic thing. Wasn't it what he had always wanted to get back? What an unexpected gain. However, once he regains his freedom, he would no longer be Ning Fan's servant. He would no longer be able to stay by Ning Fan's side. Hee. Ning Fan was the lucky star in his life. He was the turning point of his bad luck. If he leaves Ning Fan, his bad luck will definitely come again. His path of cultivation will certainly be difficult and bumpy again. Breaking through the second eternal tribulation is still a long way off. Old Wu laughed strangely. He was unwilling to admit it, but he had to admit that he seemed to be a little despicable. He actually wanted to be Ning Fan's servant. All for the benefits of following Ning Fan. He was reluctant to let go of Ning Fan who had such a thick thigh. If he hugs Ning Fan's thigh tightly, he would have a chance to cultivate all the way to the immortal emperor realm and become the dark luck great emperor of this generation. In that case, he would not be foolish enough to ask for his freedom as a reward. I better think about it carefully and ask for some other rewards from the evil star. Oh, right. Why don't I ask the evil star to help me collect the other parts of the Emperor Jade Fate set? Old Wu secretly calculated. In the depths of his heart, he was even more certain that being loyal to Ning Fan was definitely the right choice. Wasn't it rare for him to be loyal to Ning Fan for once? Now, he would be rewarded, wouldn't he? Ning Fan flew all the way out of the valley. His spirit sense turned into a drizzle and scattered towards the continents of the ominous domains. Finally, he chose the most desolate continent and flew towards it. Zhang Yu and the others had their revenge, but Ning Fan had his own plans. He left Zhang Yu and the others in the valley where the devil beast's lair was located. He even set up a formation around the valley to isolate the karmic detection. It would be very safe to leave them there. As for him, he would have to risk his life in this extreme pill sacred region alone. During this period of time, he might have to fight with immortal Emperor realm experts. In such a dangerous situation, it was naturally impossible for him to bring them along. He was plotted against and the punishment ring was destroyed. In that case, Ning Fan could not show his face in public in the Great Humble Tribe. Otherwise, he might attract a large-scale pursuit again. When the immortal Emperor of Great Humble Tribe sensed that the karmic connection was severed, he probably thought that I have already left the extreme pill sacred region. Unfortunately, I didn't leave. I want to find the sacrificial tool of Jiu Chu. I want to find the innate soul-nourishing spiritual medicine that I lack. I want to find the physical body that Zhang Yu needs. I will certainly go to the execution of the sovereign butcher ceremony half a year later. The world plane of this place greatly restricts me. However, it's not really impossible to forcefully open the profound Yin world. The things that Old Wu offered me are very useful. With the help of the trading formation of the ancient country, my previous plan will no doubt be much easier. I can easily obtain a lot of materials. Ning Fan landed on a desolate continent. As soon as he landed, a few devil beasts that were hibernating in this place attacked him. Unfortunately, these beasts were too weak. They only had the cultivation base of Shikong. As a demonic light flashed in Ning Fan's left eye, the few devil beasts lost their vision and became absent-minded. Then, they were invaded by his illusory technique and consciously retreated a few li away. Their attitudes were extremely respectful and they even took the initiative to patrol and protect Ning Fan in the surrounding areas. Ning Fan landed on a bald mountain. He raised his head and looked at the sky of the great humble tribe with a solemn expression. Next, he was going to do something crazy. He was going to defy the power of the world plane of this world and forcefully open the profound Yin world. That was why he chose to do it in this place. He did not know if he could succeed or not. However, half a year was really not enough. In order to save the sovereign butcher, no matter what kind of plan he had, he would need more time to prepare. The profound Yin world must be opened. He must enter the profound Yin world and use the Tower of Time within it. If the power of the world plane of this world stops him from doing what he wants, why would he hesitate to become the enemy of the entire world? Ning Fan opened his mouth and spat out a ray of light. It slowly appeared in front of his chest and turned into a magic treasure that looked like a jade locket. It was the Yin-Yang locket. His black hair fluttered without any wind. He raised his hand and pressed the jade locket in front of him. Profound Yin world, open. As soon as he shouted, his body began to turn incorporeal. He began to be sucked into the profound Yin world of the Yin-Yang locket bit by bit. Unfortunately, just as he was about to enter the profound Yin world by force, hundreds of millions of great Tao ripples suddenly appeared in the sky. There was also a restraining force that carried a vast heavenly might that descended from the sky, forcefully closing the half-open profound Yin world. The opening failed. Since the great Tao of this world is trying to stop me, don't blame me for killing the heavenly Tao soul of this world. With a wave of his hand, the ocean-defying sword appeared in his hand. With the weight of the 7 stars, he gathered the sword light of the 5 yin-yang swords and the Taoist slaying sword and slashed at the countless ripples of the great Tao in the sky. Countless ripples of the great Tao were shattered. However, at the next moment, the ripples returned to normal. Then, countless lightning rays gathered to form an ancient and gigantic beast eye. It slowly opened at the top of the sky and stared at Ning Fan coldly. It was the gaze of the heavenly Tao soul of this world. The heavenly Tao had a soul. Therefore, after cultivators cultivate the ability to extract the soul of the heavenly Tao, they would be able to borrow power from the heavenly Tao. Because of the soul, the great Tao of a world could operate normally. At this moment, the heavenly Tao soul that controlled the Supreme Pill Saint Regent's heavenly Tao opened its ancient eyes due to Ning Fan's resistance. It stared at the tiny and lowly human figure below. External cultivator, the ancient voice of the great Tao reverberated in the sky. If that's the case, the crime of defying the heavenly will is established. Kill. An ancient killing intent descended from the sky. Then, tens of thousands of lightning bolts fell from the sky, intending to blast Ning Fan into pieces. The power that the heavenly Tao soul of this world uses is indeed lightning. Ning Fan seemed to have confirmed a certain speculation in his heart. He became more confident in resisting the heavenly Tao soul. He raised his finger and pointed at the sky. Immediately, a gigantic blood-red lightning diagram appeared in midair. There were many cracks on the lightning diagram, causing it to be unable to unleash its full power. However, as Ning Fan willed it, it slowly expanded. Tens of thousands of heavenly lightning bolts fell from the sky with a destructive force that was enough to kill ordinary First Tribulation immortal venerables. However, the lightning diagram absorbed the lightning bolts with just a suction force, causing the heavenly Tao's attack to fail. The lightning power in the surrounding area isn't enough to kill you. If that's the case, 2 continents lightning fall. As the ancient voice gave an order, the number of lightning bolts that fell from the sky increased by 1-fold, greatly increasing their destructive force. Originally, the lightning power of the ominous domain continent that Ning Fan was currently on was gathering. However, at this moment, the lightning power of the other continents in the surroundings was also gathering towards him. The lightning power of the two continents was still not enough to kill Ning Fan. Whenever the lightning bolts fell, they were forcefully absorbed by the Tai Su lightning diagram and turned into his own. 3 continents lightning fall. The lightning power of the third ominous domain continent was also summoned. However, it was useless. 4 continents lightning fall. It was still useless. 9 continents lightning kill. The lightning tribulation that was powerful enough to kill a second tribulation immortal venerate still could not break the lightning diagram's defense. 15 continents lightning kill. 22 continents lightning kill. 33 continents lightning cloud town. When the lightning power that was attacking Ning Fan increased to the total lightning power of the 33 ominous domain continents, Ning Fan finally felt a little strained. At this moment, even a third tribulation immortal king would be severely injured if he or she gets caught in the lightning tribulation. With the Tai Su lightning diagram's power, he could no longer control the situation. As expected, I still have to use the God exterminating shield to defend myself. Just as this thought emerged in his mind, it was immediately extinguished by Ning Fan. There were 2 reasons for this. Firstly, Ning Fan discovered that in the process of continuously devouring the lightning tribulation, some of the cracks on his Tai Su lightning diagram in the past were actually recovering on their own under the nourishment of the lightning power that he devoured. Most of those cracks were caused by the lightning storm when he was protecting the immortal lowly in the past. Now, they were recovering by devouring the lightning power of this world. It was an unexpected gain. Ning Fan did not plan to stop the restoration of the lightning diagram so soon. Secondly, Ning Fan discovered that every time the Tai Su lightning diagram devoured some lightning tribulation, it would cause the lightning primordial energy of the entire world plane of the Supreme Pill sacred region to decrease. The decrease was extremely small. Even ordinary immortal emperors would have a hard time noticing it. However, with Ning Fan's senses, he naturally noticed the decrease in the lightning primordial energy of heaven and earth. It seemed like it was also an unexpected gain. According to the information he obtained, the Radiant Buddha had ordered more than 3,000 tribes of the Great Humble Race to offer lightning as a sacrifice. Almost all the lightning they had stored in the past had been offered to the Radiant Buddha. However, it was still not enough for the Radiant Buddha. Hence, each tribe could only send the lightning cultivators of their headquarters to gather the lightning power of heaven and earth artificially to create lightning. If the lightning primordial energy of heaven and earth decreases because of Ning Fan's action of devouring lightning, it would probably affect the lightning cultivators who create lightning. Their speed of creating lightning would certainly slow down. The reason I'm fighting against the heavenly way is to forcefully open the profoundine world. But if I can swallow some of the heavenly way's tribulation lightning along the way and reduce the density of the lightning elemental energy in the entire Supreme Dan Saint region, that's not a bad idea. Since that's the case, there's no need to rush to use the God exterminating shield. I'll first use the thunder diagram to devour the thunder power of the Supreme Dan Saint region. Ning Fan was well aware that it would be a little difficult for him to resist the lightning power of the 33 continents with his current cultivation base. However, if he uses Jill Li's power, Black Demon, fuse with me. Black Demon dares not disobey Master's orders. With a command, he finally used the 9 Fox, which he had not used for a long time. Originally, due to the great increase in his ancient devil cultivation base, his overall cultivation base was already comparable to the second tribulation immortal venerated statue of the eternal era. At this moment, it had merged with the power of Jolie's Tao Soul. All of a sudden, Ning Fan's aura rose steadily all the way until it reached the level of an eternal 3 tribulation immortal king. Was this the power of an immortal king? Ning Fan's original cultivation base had yet to reach the level of an immortal king. However, at this moment, he forcefully reached this level with the help of Black Demon. As soon as the aura on his body grew stronger, the power of the lightning diagram also skyrocketed. After Ning Fan borrowed Black Demon's power, the originally emotionless eyes of the gigantic beast on the dome suddenly showed fear. After that fear, a trace of hatred could be seen. The soul of the heavenly Tao of this world recognized the 9 Foxes' chi on Black Demon's body. It was as if there was a great hatred between it and the 9 Fox clan. Now that it suddenly saw a 9 fox, its killing intent immediately skyrocketed to an unprecedented level. 100 continents lightning bombardment. All of a sudden, the lightning power of the 100 continents of the ominous domain was gathered in one spot. The power of the lightning tribulation instantly increased to a level that was enough to kill a 5 tribulation immortal king. The lightning power that was gathered at such a level was too great. Above the dome, a lightning bird with an ancient chi was condensed. At the next moment, the lightning bird carried the combined lightning power of the 100 continents of the ominous domain and crashed towards the Tai Su lightning diagram. The surging lightning power instantly exceeded the limit that the Tai Su lightning diagram could withstand, causing cracks to appear on the Tai Su lightning diagram. Is this the power of the heavenly Tao soul of this world? It really isn't something that the rain world and the desolate world can compare with. The heavenly Tao soul of the rain world was Li Xiaoxiao, who was once bullied by Ning Fan. The heavenly Tao soul of the desolate world was the black cat 9 fox. Under Ning Fan's identity as the 10th barbarian god, it directly submitted to him. The process was extremely easy. All kinds of experiences made Ning Fan slightly underestimate the heavenly Tao soul. However, after witnessing the power of the heavenly Tao soul of the Supreme Pill Saint region, he could not help but admit that his action of going against the heavenly Tao of this world and forcefully opening the profound Yin world was a little too arrogant. However, no matter how arrogant it was, he must open the profound Yin world. If the Tai Su lightning diagram could not deal with the heavenly Tao soul of this world, he did not mind using the God exterminating shield to fight against this vast heavenly Tao. Come back. Just as Ning Fan was about to keep the lightning diagram, Black Demon's voice suddenly rang in his mind. Master, don't keep this lightning diagram. Black Demon won't be wrong. This lightning bird has the chi of the ancestral lightning sparrow. The ancestral lightning sparrow is as delicious as the Tao carp. You're just an ant. Master, please use the lightning diagram to restrain the lightning incarnation of the ancestral lightning sparrow and let Black Demon attack it. Catch it and bring it back to be the totem spirit of Masters Lei 2. Chapter 1059. Ancestral Lightning Sparrow. It was Ning Fan's first time hearing this name. His original plan to activate the God exterminating shield immediately changed because of Black Demon's words. The Heaven Dao Hun of this world was not a demon-type heaven controller, but an existence of the Dao Hun clan. The demon race and the Dao soul race were yin and yang. Their auras were similar but different. Ordinary people would not be able to tell the difference between them. However, because Ning Fan had experienced the chi of Dao soul living beings like the Dao Carp and Jiuli, he was able to tell the difference. Their enemy was the ancestral lightning sparrow, Dao Hun, while the Black Demon was the 4th-ranked Jiuli. If Ning Fan was facing the vast heavenly Dao of the Supreme Pill sacred region by himself, he certainly would not be so arrogant as to say that he would capture the soul of the heavenly Dao and use it as the spirit of the lightning diagram. But now, Black Devil had said such words with indescribable confidence. Interesting. Should I try to capture the heavenly Dao soul of this world? The corners of Ning Fan's mouth curled into a cold smile. His eyes were filled with monstrous devil intent. The soul of the Tao of Heaven was the messenger who controlled the Tao of Heaven in an expanse cosmos. The stronger the power of world planes in the expanse cosmos, the stronger the power of the world that the soul of the Tao of Heaven could mobilize. Becoming enemies with the soul of the heavenly Tao meant becoming enemies with the entire plane. Those who disobeyed the heavenly Tao would face the power of the heavenly tribulations of this plane in the future, and there was even a chance that they would be killed by the heavenly will. If he wanted to capture the Tao of Heaven's soul from a medium-sized world, he would also need to fight against the power of world planes from the entire medium-sized world. To a cultivator in the second step, this was something that was absolutely impossible. When he was running amok in the rain world, there was a period of time where he became enemies with the heavenly Tao of the rain world. The reason why he was not killed by the heavenly Tao of the rain world was partly because he had an endless number of trump cards. On the other hand, it was also because the rain world was just a small kiliacosm. The power of the world plane was extremely weak, which gave Ning Fan the possibility to go against the heavenly Tao. However, it was just disobedience. Naturally, it was impossible for him to use the power of rain world planes to capture Li Xiaoxiao in the past. The power of world planes in the sacred region of the Supreme Core realm was also one of the best in the medium-sized worlds. Even the quasi-saints at the level of the 5 great paragons of great infernal realm could at most cast the divine ability to extract the soul of the Tao of heaven and borrow the power of the world. It was impossible for them to use the power of the entire world to capture the soul of the Tao of heaven. It was common knowledge that humans could not defeat the world at the same level. However, if Jiuli were to make a move, what would be the result? The scene of Black Demon killing the quasi-sage Dao Carp was still vivid in his mind. He had a considerable degree of confidence in his kitten. If the enemy is the same species as Dao Han, then my little cat will be very powerful. Even if he was arrogant enough to capture the heavenly axiom of this world, there was still a sliver of a chance. Since you have such a plan, I will cooperate with you. I will restrain the heavenly axiom of this realm from the front, and you will launch a sneak attack. Ning Fan did not keep the lightning diagram. Instead, he released the fusion between him and Black Devil. All of a sudden, a black light flashed on his shoulder and a lazy and arrogant little black cat appeared. After another flash, the little black cat disappeared without a trace. After removing the fusion of his Tao souls, Ning Fan's chi naturally fell all the way until it returned to his original strength. Following that, the power of the Tai Su lightning diagram was also greatly reduced due to the decline of Ning Fan's chi. It was already riddled with holes after being attacked by the lightning birds in the first place. Now that its power had been reduced, it was even more unable to withstand the lightning attacks of the lightning birds. In an instant, it showed signs of collapsing. A large amount of lightning power leaked out from the damaged parts of the lightning diagram. Sizzling sounds could be heard as the lightning birds devoured all of the lightning power that leaked out greedily. The lightning power of the heavenly tribulation that was devoured by Ning Fan's lightning diagram was also being taken back by the lightning birds bit by bit. When the lightning power in the lightning diagram was forcefully devoured, Ning Fan's mind was affected. He felt a sweetness in his throat and a trace of blood seeped out from the corner of his mouth. However, his eyes did not show the slightest hint of panic. Instead, they were filled with the light of calculation. As he performed a hand seal, some of the lightning power that was devoured by the lightning birds suddenly turned into thousands of lightning lines that were as tough as steel wires. They pierced out from the body of the lightning birds and tied up its body tightly like a dumpling. Under the pain, the lightning birds let out a furious roar. When it saw the lightning lines that were binding its body, its eyes were filled with disdain. These lightning lines that were as tough as steel wires were actually condensed from the Tao law of lightning. Besides, they also contained a trace of lightning power of the Palm Immortal Realm which allowed them to pierce through its lightning body with ease. Unfortunately, it was just a trace of lightning power of the Palm Immortal Realm after all. This young man was not a true Palm Immortal Realm lightning cultivator. It was just wishful thinking for him to suppress its lightning with just this bit of Palm Immortal Realm lightning power. Are you trying to bind the heavenly Tao with lightning lines of this level? Humph. You're overestimating yourself. Countless lightning arcs burst out from the lightning bird's body. The lightning lines that were binding its body were easily broken, allowing its lightning body to regain its freedom. The fine and dense wounds on its body that were pierced by the lightning lines also healed under the healing of the Tao law of lightning. Then, he chanted some kind of incantation. The body of the lightning bird grew larger and larger. With a hint of impatience in its beak, it directly swallowed the entire Tai Su lightning diagram into its stomach. After letting out a satisfied burp, it flapped its wings all of a sudden. Lightning power gushed out endlessly from its body. The range of the lightning power was so large that it directly caused the entire ominous continent where Ning Fan was standing to be engulfed in a world-destroying lightning storm. Boom! 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 The countless mountains, plains, and living beings on the continent were all turned to dust by the thunderstorm. Ning Fan, who was at the center of the lightning storm, let out a blood-curdling shriek and was directly turned into ashes. After the entire ominous continent collapsed, a mushroom cloud of lightning storm the size of the entire continent was formed in the sky. After a long time, the mushroom cloud finally dispersed. However, the lightning primordial energy in the surroundings was still as violent as before. The spiritual chi in the surroundings was in a chaotic mess. The laws of heaven and earth in this place had also suffered devastating damage. It would be impossible for it to recover to its original state without tens of millions of years. Looking at the scorched continent that had been completely destroyed, the lightning bird's voice carried a supreme heavenly might and said disdainfully, "You're just a mere external cultivator. How dare you defy the will of heaven? This is your fate. The only pity is that the trace of 9 raccoons' chi that I sensed just now seems to have disappeared. Was it directly killed by me in the lightning storm? Humph. The 9 raccoon that has an undeserved reputation is just so. It seems like the terrifying description of the 9 raccoon clan in my bloodline memory is a little exaggerated. Previously, when it sensed the 9 raccoons' chi on Ning Fan's body, it immediately transformed into its true form of its Tao soul and directly unleashed a powerful technique. It seems like it has made a big fuss out of nothing. The lightning bird spread its wings and was about to fly into the vast sky that was about to be destroyed. All of a sudden, its pupils dilated and it was filled with astonishment. The lightning sky that was originally gloomy had turned into the color of the flesh of an animal. Moreover, it was expanding and contracting rhythmically like the internal organs of a living creature. No. It's not just the sky. The surrounding space, the ruins of the continent below and the scenery in front of him had all turned into the color of flesh and blood in an instant. Then, it began to wriggle and shrink. What's going on? Who displayed a divine ability that could change heaven and earth? Did it change the shape of heaven and earth? It actually managed to fool the eyes and ears of the heavenly Tao of this world. No. That's not right. This is not a divine ability that could change heaven and earth. This is an illusion technique. Damn it. I was too careless. Break. The lightning bird let out a strange roar. The surrounding heaven and earth that were wriggling with flesh and blood instantly shattered like broken glass and fell to the ground. The illusion of the shrinking heaven and earth in front of him disappeared in an instant. However, just as his consciousness returned to reality, the lightning bird felt a sharp pain. It was as if something had bitten his body. His entire body felt like it was about to break into 2 pieces. The lightning bird's eyes widened in anger. Only then did he see clearly that he did not turn into his giant form at all. Instead, his body had shrunk to the size of a sparrow in the mortal world and he was being held in the mouth of a black cat with a ferocious gaze. The surrounding heaven and earth did not suffer from the destructive attack of the lightning storm. That massive lightning diagram was still hanging in the sky. It had not been devoured and destroyed by it. The ferocious domain continent below was also not destroyed by the mushroom cloud of the lightning storm. On a mountain peak on the continent below, Ning Fan stood proudly in the raging wind like a peerless devil god. His left eye was tightly shut and a stream of black blood flowed down from it. He did not die at all. Damn it. Is this little external cultivator the one who cast an illusion technique on me? He's just a mere external cultivator. He actually. He's really too careless. Damn it. Damn it. Ah. The lightning bird uttered hatefully. As soon as his voice fell, he felt that the black cat that was holding him in its mouth was enraged. The cat bit down hard on his shrunken body, causing him great pain that pierced through his soul. He could not help but wail miserably. His sparrow-sized body wanted to struggle in the black cat's mouth. However, to his horror, he realized that his entire body seemed to have been paralyzed by some kind of poison. He could not mobilize even a trace of lightning power in the surroundings. With his current weak body, it was impossible for him to break free from the black cat's fangs. The 6th of the 9 raccoons, the Tao restriction. The black cat uttered a cold and emotionless voice. When it opened and closed its jaws, it made the lightning bird feel even more pain. Deep in his heart, he felt the greatest fear towards the 9 raccoons in his entire life. He was the ancestral lightning sparrow. An ancestral lightning sparrow that had left his clan. He had never lived in the true world before and he had never seen any 9 raccoons with his own eyes. All of his understanding and hatred towards the 9 raccoons came from the memories of his ancestors in his bloodline. In its ancestors' memories, it had seen scenes of the 9 fox clan cruelly devouring the ancestral lightning sparrow. In its ancestors' memory, it had seen the 9 great secret techniques of the 9 raccoon clan, and it had a deep understanding of how terrifying the 9 raccoon clan's secret techniques were. The 6th forbidden technique of the 9 raccoon. Dao restriction. This was a type of poison attack. If the 9 raccoon that knew this technique bit another living being of the Dao soul race, it would be able to plant the poison into the other party's body through the wound, causing the other party's power of Dao soul to be sealed to a certain extent. I can't be wrong. This 9 raccoon had bitten it and poisoned it with a forbidden Dao poison. This 9 raccoon actually knows the 9 raccoon's 6th technique. In terms of comprehension, he was definitely 1 in a million in the 9 raccoon clan. After all, the higher the level of the 9 fox forbidden technique, the harder it was to cultivate. According to the bloodline memory of the Thunderbird, only 1 in 10,000 people could cultivate the 6th 9 fox forbidden technique. But even if it was the 6th technique of the 9 fox, it should not have been able to suppress it so greatly. The opponent should only be an underage 9 fox. Dao Hun's level seemed to be only at stage 2 Emperor grade, which was on the same level as the second Eternal Tribulation. However, the Thunderbird was an adult stage 5 Emperor grade cultivator. Even if it was hit by the 6th forbidden technique of the 9 fox, it should only be able to seal a small part of the Dao soul's cultivation. It should not be able to seal the Dao soul's cultivation completely. Unless the opponent's bloodline was extremely strong and it was 1 in a million from the 9 fox royal clan. Hiss. The Thunderbird vaguely guessed the truth. He felt the greatest fear of the black cat that was biting him. It was a fear that originated from his bloodline. The most terrifying thing about the 9 fox clan was not their ferocity in eating other living beings of the Dao soul race, but their heaven-defying ability to forcefully take the fate of other clans. The 9th forbidden technique of the 9 fox clan, the King's Bow. If a living being of the Dao soul race was killed by the King's Bow, it would implicate the entire clan and cause the clan's fate to be destroyed. The ancestor of the 9 fox had drawn the bow in 10 steps and chased after the 3 sovereigns of the Dao soul race to 1 billion worlds to steal the fate of demons. The words in the bloodline memory were still ringing in the Thunderbird's ears. This made it faintly make a crazy decision. It did not know if the 9 fox in front of it had the ability to use the King Bow to kill it and seize the fate of its ancestral Lightning Sparrow clan. If the opponent really has such ability, then it must not die in the hands of this 9 fox no matter what. It would rather commit suicide than be killed by the 9 fox King Bow. This was the common understanding of all living beings of the Dao soul race. After all, committing suicide would only result in death in one samsara. If it implicated the fate of one's own race, it would be a serious crime and the person would be wiped out in the endless samsara. The black cat held the dying little lightning sparrow in its mouth and landed on the peak of the mountain where Ning Fan was at. It placed the immobile lightning sparrow beside Ning Fan's feet as if it was presenting a treasure. It meowed and rubbed the edge of Ning Fan's shoes. She had performed a meritorious deed. She had actually done something that even a lowly quasi-sage could not do. She had captured the heavenly Tao of the Supreme Pill's sacred region. Ning Fan had just used an illusion technique to slightly confuse the senses of the lightning sparrow. After all, its cultivation base was only at the 5th level of the Emperor grade. However, it was at the same level as a 5 Tribulation Immortal King. It was not difficult for him to confuse it with an illusion technique when it was careless. The black cat, on the other hand, was rather heaven-defying. The 5th forbidden technique of the 9 fox, reverse palm. When the black cat used this forbidden technique, it actually seized the control of the lightning sparrow's heavenly Tao, causing the lightning sparrow's ability to mobilize the power of heaven and earth in the surroundings to be completely cut off. It was just a moment of forcefully seizing the control of the heavenly Tao. However, it was already enough to astonish Ning Fan. If he knew that little cat had such an ability, there would be no need for him to go to war with the heavenly Tao of this world at all. He only needed to order little cat to seize the control of the heavenly Tao for a moment and use that opportunity to ignore the suppression of the heavenly Tao and enter the profound Yin world, the sixth forbidden technique of the nine fox, Tao restriction. It directly imprisoned the power of the lightning sparrow's Tao soul, causing the lightning sparrow's heavenly Tao soul to be sealed in the next moment, turning it into a weak and pitiful sparrow. I didn't expect that you would actually capture the heavenly Tao soul of this world. However, it's a little strange. Logically speaking, if the heavenly Tao soul of a world leaves its duty, the heavenly Tao of this world will stop operating. Now, we have clearly captured the heavenly Tao soul of this world. However, why hasn't the heavenly Tao of this world completely stopped operating? It's just slightly slowed down. Ning Fan looked at the sky in confusion. Master, you might not know this, but the heavenly Tao soul of this world doesn't seem to be one but several of them. This ancestral lightning sparrow seems to be just one of them. I can also sense the chi of a few other ancestral lightning sparrows from the dome of this world. Each of them is much stronger than this one. The black cat pondered for a moment before answering. I see. In other words, even though you and I have captured one of the ancestral lightning sparrows, we still can't stop the heavenly Tao of this world from suppressing my identity as an external cultivator, right? Ning Fan opened his mouth and swallowed the yin-yang locket back into his dantian. Then, he tried to enter the profound Yin world. As expected, he still could not enter it. The heavenly Tao's restriction on external cultivators still existed. At this moment, the gigantic beast eye in the sky which was originally open had already closed. It was the lightning sparrow's eye which was captured by Ning Fan. After one of the beast eyes closed, the other four beast eyes opened. The chi from each of the beast eyes was much stronger than the lightning sparrow in Ning Fan's hand. Two of them were at the 7th level, one was at the 8th level and one was at the 9th level. The heavenly Tao of the Supreme Pill's sacred region was being controlled by the other four ancestral lightning sparrows. Moreover, each of them had a terrifying cultivation base above the immortal Emperor realm. This was not a level that the little cat could capture. At this moment, the four beast eyes were filled with unconcealable anger. They were naturally angry because Ning Fan, a mere external cultivator, actually had the audacity to openly defy the heavenly Tao of this world and capture one of the 5 great heavenly Tao souls. Initially, they thought that there was no need for all of them to deal with a mere venerated immortal cultivator. Now, it seemed like they had all underestimated this external cultivator's capabilities. This external cultivator actually had the ability to subdue a royal 9 raccoon as his spiritual pet. A royal 9 raccoon. A royal 9 raccoon that could destroy the luck of an entire clan. They could not let the luck of the ancestral lightning sparrow clan be lost in the hands of this external cultivator. If the luck of the clan is taken away, the great elder of the clan would certainly be enraged. He would certainly erase all of their existences from the endless samsara. Gu, since you've been captured by the 9 raccoon, why don't you commit suicide? Are you afraid of death? Above the dome, 4 ancient voices questioned at the same time. At the moment when the 4 voices resounded, the little lightning sparrow in Ning Fan's left palm finally had the determination to face death. It gritted its teeth and forcefully broke free from a trace of the 9 raccoon Tao restriction in its body. It only managed to break free from the restriction and recover a tiny bit of its strength. However, this tiny bit of strength was already enough to ignite the rest of the sealed cultivation base in its body and detonate all of its strength. It wanted to self-detonate. It wanted to use its life to make this audacious external cultivator in front of it pay the price. Self-detonate, is it? Your courage is commendable. Unfortunately, I've already taken precautions against this. How could I possibly give you the chance to commit suicide? The corner of Ning Fan's mouth curled into a cold smile. Countless golden flames burst out from his left palm and turned into hundreds of layers of mysterious seals, sealing the last trace of strength that the little lightning sparrow had to break free from the restriction. This time, the lightning sparrow couldn't even commit suicide. Damn it! Gu has failed in his attempt to commit suicide. If it's killed by the 9 Raccoon King Bao, the luck of our clan will certainly be greatly damaged. Both you and I will suffer the same fate. Fight. Fight this external cultivator to the death. Fight him to the death with the power of the heavenly Tao of this world. No. The 9 Raccoon of the royal family beside this young man knows the 5th forbidden technique of the 9 Raccoon. It can temporarily control the heavenly Tao for a short period of time. This kind of control is very limited, but it's enough to deprive us of the ability to use the power of the world plane of this world. What should we do if someone else among us is captured by the 9 Raccoon during this short period of time? We can't act recklessly. But we'll die either way. At this moment, the 4 chi of the lightning sparrows on the domed ceiling actually began to debate and hesitate. They would kill any cultivator who dared to go against the heavens without any hesitation. Even if a quasi-saint realm cultivator defies the heavens, they would not show any mercy. However, now that they were facing Ning Fan and the 9 Raccoon of the royal family beside him, they were filled with fear, hesitation, panic and apprehension. They did not dare to transform into Dao Hun's true form and attack Ning Fan recklessly. Once they transform, there was a possibility that they would be captured by the 9 Raccoon of the royal family. However, if they do not transform into Dao Hun's true form, the power of the world plane that they could utilize would be extremely limited. They would definitely not be able to kill Ning Fan. Can we capture more ancestral lightning sparrows? Ning Fan's expression remained unchanged, but he secretly transmitted his voice to the black cat. Just capturing this 5th level Emperor grade lightning sparrow has already consumed a huge amount of my strength. The chances of capturing those ancestral lightning sparrows that are beyond the 6th level Emperor grade aren't high. Of course, if Black Devil doesn't care about his life, I should be able to capture 1 or 2 more ancestral lightning sparrows. Does Master need to capture a few more lightning sparrows? If Master has an order, Black Devil will certainly obey it. The black cat answered with an indifferent tone as if it did not care about its own life. If she could help Ning Fan a little, she would not hesitate even if she had to sacrifice her life. Ning Fan's heart was touched. Of course, he would not let Black Devil risk his life just to capture 1 or 2 ancestral lightning sparrows. In terms of benefits, the value of a 9 Raccoon of the royal family was far higher than 1 or 2 ancestral lightning sparrows. In terms of feelings, Ning Fan could feel Black Devil's loyalty towards him. He did not know where that kind of loyalty came from. Ning Fan knew that he had never done anything that could make Black Devil so loyal to him. However, Black Devil treated him as if he was its own life. As long as he gave an order, this little cat would be willing to die for him. If I have to sacrifice your life to capture more ancestral lightning sparrows, then I will forget about this matter. Being able to capture 1 ancestral lightning sparrow is already an unexpected gain. At this moment, the other lightning sparrows are wary of your existence. Instead, they are afraid of me. This fear is actually a good thing. Ning Fan did not plan to let Black Devil use the forbidden technique of the 9 Raccoon King Bao. Killing this 5th level Emperor grade ancestral lightning sparrow in front of him would certainly allow him to forcefully plunder some of its luck. However, something like the luck of a race was not very useful to Ning Fan at the moment. He still had 1,500 colored luck which he forcefully seized from the Dao Carp clan. Because he was worried that using the luck of the race would attract countless forces in the 4 heavens and 9 worlds to plunder it, he had never used it. The luck of the race was temporarily useless. Moreover, using the forbidden technique of the King Bao seemed to take a huge toll on Little Cat's strength. The side effects could not be ignored. That day, Black Devil had only killed 3 Dao Carps and his cultivation base was already greatly damaged. He was on the verge of death. If it was not a life and death situation, Ning Fan would not have the heart to let little cats use such a powerful forbidden technique. Thinking of this, Ning Fan suddenly raised his head and smiled faintly at the 4 beast eyes above his head. How about we make a deal? What deal? The 4 ancestral lightning sparrows who were hiding on the domed roof were suddenly startled. If Ning Fan was alone, they would never put him in their eyes. They would also not lower their pride and listen to what deal Ning Fan wanted to make. They would directly kill him. However, with the 9 Raccoon King Bao by his side, they did not dare to act recklessly. Their attention towards Ning Fan had also risen to an unprecedented level because of the 9 Raccoon King Bao. I can stop my little cat from using the King Bao to kill this lightning sparrow. However, all of you must agree to 3 conditions of mine. As soon as Ning Fan's words fell, the 4 ancestral lightning sparrows on the domed roof were instantly enraged. What a joke! They were the supreme souls of the heavenly Tao. They controlled the heavenly Tao of a world in the extreme Pill's sacred region. Even those lowly quasi-saints would have to lower their status in front of them. A mere lowly external cultivator actually dared to raise conditions with them? Humph! Who do you think you are? How dare you raise conditions with us, the ancestral lightning sparrows? I'll give you 3 breaths of time to release Kegu. Otherwise, we will certainly transform into our Tao souls and summon the lightning of a world to kill you. If you obey us obediently, we can consider sparing your life and allowing you to leave the extreme Pill sacred region safely. 1 breath of time. 2 breaths of time. 2.5 breaths of time. 2 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 breaths of time. Damn it! An external cultivator like you is forcing us to count to 3 breaths of time to kill you. We really have to count to 3 breaths of time. We really have to, noisy. Ning Fan shouted coldly at the 4 ancestral lightning sparrows who were trying to put up a fierce front. Then, he signaled them with his eyes. The black cat at the side immediately pretended to use the King Bao forbidden technique. Ning Fan's action immediately made the 4 ancestral lightning sparrows feel fear. Hold on. Hold on. You must never use the King Bao forbidden technique. If you use it, you will become the mortal enemy of our ancestral lightning sparrow clan. Damn it! This young man is in the illusory world created by immortal King Zido. The distance between him and the true world is too far. He doesn't fear the reputation of our ancestral lightning sparrow clan at all. Alright. Alright. We agree to make a deal with you. As long as you promise not to seize the luck of our clan and release Kegu, we can reluctantly agree to 3 of your conditions. No, big brother. 3 conditions are too many. We can only agree to 2 of them at most. No, I can only agree to 1 at most. Half. 1/3 of it. 1/10 of it. Hiss. This external cultivator seems to be enraged. Shut up, you bastards. Ning Fan's eyes were filled with impatience. He said coldly, you seem to have misunderstood something. I'm not discussing with you. I'm giving you an order. You must agree to my 3 conditions. If you don't, I will order this 9 raccoon to seize the luck of your clan. No. You can't do that. We will agree to whatever conditions you have. The 4 ancestral lightning sparrows said in shock. Wouldn't it have been better if you had been this sensible earlier? Ning Fan's face was wearing a cold smile, but he was speechless inwardly. The heavenly Tao of the Supreme Pill's sacred region is just too easy to threaten. Of course, the reason why he could easily coerce the heavenly Tao of this world into obeying his orders was all because of Little Cat, Little Cat, was from the 9 Raccoon clan, which was ranked 4th among the myriad of clans in the Tao Soul realm. Moreover, she was a member of the royal 9 Raccoon clan. To the ancestral Lightning Sparrow clan, this title was too significant. It involved the fate of their clan. Thus, they did not dare to take any risks. The Tao Carp clan and the ancestral Lightning Sparrow clan both suffered great losses in Little Cat's hands. Little Cat is indeed very capable. Hee hee. I really didn't expect that I would accidentally capture one of the 5 great heavenly Tao souls of the Supreme Pill's sacred region after I entered the profound Yin world just to resist the suppression of the heavenly Tao of the Supreme Pill's sacred region. May I know what conditions you want to propose to us? can you return Sparrow Gu to us? Among the 4 ancestral lightning sparrows on the dome of the sky, the oldest voice asked. His voice clearly reverberated between heaven and earth with heavenly might, but it gave people a feeling of lack of confidence. This little sparrow is my spoil of war. Of course, it's impossible for me to return it to you. However, as long as you agree to my conditions, I can guarantee that I won't kill it and will only keep it as my lightning diagram spirit. Ning Fan was not an idiot. If he returns the ancestral lightning sparrow that he captured to them, he would lose the threat of the King Bao seizing their luck. What awaits him would definitely not be the gratitude of the heavenly Tao souls of this world. Instead, it would be the frenzied revenge of the heavenly Tao souls without any scruples. The first condition is that I want you to gather the lightning power of an entire world for me to devour. What? This is going against the will of the saint who created this world. If we do this, we will. Humph. I seem to have already told you that this is not a discussion but an order. This. All right. We can agree to this condition. The oldest voice answered while gnashing his teeth. The second condition is that I want the heavenly Tao of this world to completely discard the suppression that it has on my identity as an external cultivator. The restriction power of some special places in this world that restricts me from flying must also be dispelled. This is also going against. Fine. We will agree to this condition. The old voice said helplessly. The third condition is that if I need you, you must obey my orders. You must kill whoever I want you to kill. This is absolutely impossible. We are the souls of the heavenly Tao. We are in charge of this world under the order of the saint who created this world. We will never listen to the orders of others. In other words, the negotiation has failed, right? If that's the case, I will, wait. We will agree to this condition of yours. However, there is one thing that you must know. In this great humble clan, there are 3 people that we, the heavenly Tao, can't kill. If you offend those 3 people, don't blame us for not being able to help you kill your enemies. Oh. There are actually 3 people in this world that you, the heavenly Tao, can't kill? Who are they? This is an absolute secret of the Extreme Pills sacred region. However, since you are the one who asked, it is not impossible for us to answer you. These 3 people are the first 3 of the 5 great supreme beings of the Great Humble Clan. The second and third supreme beings have special identities. We, the heavenly Tao, can't attack them at all. The strength of the first supreme being is too terrifying. Even though all that is left of her now is a pile of white bones and her strength has been greatly weakened, she is still the strongest expert in the entire Extreme Pills sacred region. She still has the strength of an ancient grand cultivation realm expert. Even we, the heavenly Tao, absolutely dare not attack such existences recklessly. If you order us, the heavenly Tao, to attack these 3 people, we can only say that we are unable to help. Ning Fan frowned when he heard what the heavenly Tao said. His understanding of the 5 great supreme beings of the Great Humble Clan was limited to Niu Gui, who was ranked 4th, and Ten Feng, who was ranked 5th. Today, however, he heard the information about the other 3 supreme beings from the heavenly Tao of this world. The second and third supreme beings had special identities. They were existences that even the heavenly Tao could not attack. The first supreme being had terrifying strength. All that was left of her was a pile of white bones. Her cultivation base was weakening day by day. Even now, she still had the strength of an ancient grand cultivation realm expert. They were existences that even the heavenly Tao did not dare to offend. The Great Humble Clan actually had an ancient grand cultivation realm expert. Doesn't this mean that the foundation of the Great Humble Clan is even more terrifying than the secret races? Who are the 3 supreme beings? Ning Fan asked with a solemn expression. The third supreme being is the remnant soul of the medicine Buddha who possessed the Radiance Buddha's body. She wants to refine the Radiance Buddha of the sacred mountain into her own reincarnation spirit body. The second supreme being is the remnant soul of the Flame Ancestor who possessed the Void Flame Death Emperor's body. She wants to refine the Death Emperor into her reincarnation spirit body. They were the remnant souls of the Medicine Buddha and the Flame Ancestor. According to Ning Fan's understanding of the history of the Great Humble Clan, the ancestor of the clan was Medicine Saint Nan. After Medicine Saint Nan died, the good and evil corpses did not die. Each of them occupied half of the forces in the Supreme Pill's sacred region. The good corpse was called the Medicine Buddha and was worshipped by countless people. The evil corpse's name was Flame Ancestor, and he was regarded as a deity by countless three-flame cultivators. It seemed that most of the people of Dabei thought that the two of them had been dead for many years. Unexpectedly, their remnant souls had survived since ancient times until now. Then, it attached itself to the Radiant Buddha and the Death Emperor. This matter was definitely the supreme secret of the Great Humble Clan. Putting aside the dead emperor, if Ning Fan wants to head to the Holy Mountain to save Sovereign 2, he would certainly have to go against the Light Buddha. The Light Buddha was possessed by the third supreme being, Medicine Buddha. No wonder the Emperor Butcher was captured by the Radiant Buddha, who was at the same cultivation level as him. This matter was definitely related to the remnant soul of the apothecary that was attached to the Radiant Buddha. Ning Fan sighed and asked again. Who is the number one supreme being? I don't know. We only know that she is an extremely terrifying woman. Her origin and identity are unknown. She lives in seclusion in a forbidden area of the Three-Flame continent. Only a few people in the Great Humble Clan who know the situation call the strongest supreme being Madame White Bones. Madame White Bones, huh? Since the strongest supreme being is in the Three-Flame continent, she should at least not hinder my plan to save Sovereign 2, right? Ning Fan continued to ask about some secrets of the Great Humble Clan. After that, he was too lazy to talk nonsense with the 4 auras on the dome. He kept the little lightning sparrow named K-Gu into the lightning diagram for the time being. Then, he gave an order to the 4 auras on the dome. I, Ning Fan, command the lightning power of an entire world of the Great Humble Clan for my cultivation. No mistakes are allowed. This. Understood. The 4 auras answered helplessly. Under the situation where all the cultivators of the Great Humble Clan were at a loss, the lightning power of an entire world was continuously transferred to this desolate continent by the Heavenly Tao. Chapter 1060. Making a deal with the Heavenly Way of a world and using the power of the Heavenly Way to mobilize the resources of the entire plane for cultivation, this kind of incredible thing had never appeared in the history of the extreme Dan sacred region. Today, however, Ning Fan had set a precedent in this Supreme Pill's sacred region. With the help of the little cat, Ning Fan easily suppressed the other 4 souls of the Heavenly Tao in the Extreme Pill's sacred region. With just a single command, endless lightning power of heaven and earth was mobilized from all directions of the Extreme Pill's sacred region. Large amounts of silver lightning gradually gathered in the originally gray sky. As they continued to gather, they formed hundreds of millions of lightning bolts that were as tall as the heavens and interweaved in the sky. More and more flashes of lightning gathered above the desolate continent. They gradually expanded in scale, forming a thunderstorm. A huge lightning vortex appeared in the sky. At first, the power of the thunderstorm was only equivalent to the full power of a celestial king. Gradually, the power of the thunderstorm increased to the level of 2 celestial kings working together, and it continued to rise. 3 kings, 4 kings, 5 kings, 10 kings, 100 kings, king 1,000. A thunderstorm that was equivalent to the combined strength of 1,000 celestial kings finally took form and wreaked havoc in the sky. What an astonishing thunderstorm this was! The countless beasts and living beings on the continent trembled uncontrollably due to the terrifying might of the thunderstorm. Even some of the immortal venerable level demonic beasts were frightened under the pressure of this thunderstorm. Gradually, magical beasts started to flee incessantly towards the nearby continents. They didn't dare stay here any longer as they were deeply afraid that the lightning in the sky would descend and destroy everything. Ning Fan's expression remained unchanged, but his heart was also shaken. Although he wanted to use the power of the Supreme Dan Sanctuary's Heavenly Way to mobilize the thunder power of a realm for cultivation, he did not expect to transfer such a large amount of thunder power. When he asked the four souls of the Tao of Heaven, he learned that they had mobilized 1/10 of the lightning power of World Plane Realm in the Supreme Medicinal Core sacred region for him to use for his cultivation. What a grand gesture! In terms of power, the thunderstorm in front of him was far more powerful than the strongest thunderstorm triggered by the immortal Loli when she evolved her thunder body. This was not a power that cultivators could resist. Even if a celestial emperor were to fall into the center of such a thunderstorm, he would be blasted into ashes within a few breaths. It was not something a human could contend against. To any second-step celestial cultivator, this thunderstorm was a natural disaster. Fortunately, the four souls of the heavenly Tao above the dome did not dare to reveal their true forms. In that case, even though they could mobilize such a large amount of lightning power, they could not control it. They could only let the lightning power gather in the sky and turn into natural phenomena, forming lightning storms on their own. They could not use them to attack Ning Fan with their abilities. If it wasn't for the little cat's deterrence, if the four heavenly Tao souls revealed their true forms and controlled the lightning power to kill Ning Fan knew that his chances of surviving this terrifying lightning power would be less than 5% if he were to fight them head-on. This 5% chance was the result of him activating the God-exterminating shield to its fullest. If he were to escape, he would have quite a bit of confidence. Originally, he just wanted to slightly refine the lightning diagram. Now, however, he had a new idea. Why not just swallow 1/10 of this world's lightning power and cultivate the lightning yin-yang? The lightning energy in front of him was formed by the heavenly Tao directly mobilizing the lightning energy of heaven and earth. The purity of the lightning energy was far from the level that cultivators could achieve by summoning their own lightning energy. It was the best material for cultivating the lightning yin-yang art. Sai, please forgive us. We are under your pressure and don't dare to reveal our true forms of the Tao souls without your permission. We are afraid that your servant Jiu Li will capture us. In that case, our authority to exercise the heavenly Tao is limited. We can at most provide you with 1/10 of the lightning power of this world for your cultivation. The remaining 9/10 of the lightning power is under the control of the will of the saints in this world. Even we, the heavenly Tao, can't use it without your permission. Besides, without revealing our true forms of the Tao souls, the only thing we can do is to attract this amount of lightning power. We can't control it as we wish. It's impossible for us to help you refine the lightning power from the side. Thus, how much you can gain from this lightning power will depend on your own ability. It's alright. I'm using the lightning power to cultivate. I don't need your help. You guys can go back now and just wait for my next summon. If that's the case, we will wish you a successful cultivation. As for the matter regarding Kei-gu, since you aren't willing to return him, we can only forget about it. I only hope that you can abide by the agreement between us and only subdue Kei-gu as the spirit of the lightning diagram. If you go against the agreement and secretly kill Kei-gu with the 9 Raccoon King Bao, seizing the fate of my ancestral Lightning Sparrow clan, we will kill you to the last one of us even if we have to give up everything. We won't rest until one of us is dead. As soon as he finished speaking, the 4 gigantic beast eyes on the dome disappeared one after another. The heavenly Tao of the Supreme Pill sacred region needed their supervision in order to operate. They could not leave their posts for too long, let alone stay here to accompany Ning Fan in his cultivation. The number of living beings on the desolate continent decreased. Gradually, there were only Ning Fan, a cat, and a few pitiful devil beasts who were controlled by his illusion technique who did not manage to escape. After Ning Fan gave the order, the cat yawned lazily and lay on the ground to sleep. As for Ning Fan, he activated the Tai Su lightning diagram again and opened it. He did not immediately use the Tai Su lightning diagram to absorb the lightning power of the thunderstorm for cultivation. Instead, he first released the ancestral lightning sparrow that he had captured previously from the lightning diagram. It was a 5th-level Emperor-grade ancestral lightning sparrow. Its name seemed to be Kei-gu. Because it was poisoned by the Tao forbidden poison of the cat, its body was currently paralyzed and it could not move at all. At this moment, Kei-gu's expression was extremely complicated. There was the reluctance of being captured by a mere foreign cultivator, the despair of being abandoned by his companions, and also the fear of his future. After being captured by Ning Fan, it was unknown what the other 4 heavenly Tao spirit envoys did. In short, Kei-gu had already lost his identity as a heavenly Tao spirit and could no longer exercise the authority of the heavenly Tao of a world. The reason why he did that was obviously because he did not want Ning Fan to borrow Kei-gu's power to easily control the heavenly Tao of a world. After losing the ability to exercise the heavenly Tao, Kei-gu was just a 5th-level Emperor-grade Tao spirit. His cultivation base was at the same level as a 5-tribulation immortal king. To Ning Fan, it was naturally a good thing to have such a powerful helper by his side. "You're called Kei-gu, right?" "Yes. Yes. Yes." At this moment, Kei-gu was not stupid since he was now at Ning Fan's mercy. He lowered his status and nodded his head like a chick pecking rice grains. "You seem to be very afraid of me." "Actually, you don't have to be like this. You don't have to worry. I won't kill you. Your power is useful to me. I hope that you can become the spirit of my lightning diagram. Are you willing to do so?" This, Kei-gu struggled inwardly. If he agrees to become Ning Fan's spirit, he would need to connect his life with Ning Fan's Tai Su lightning diagram. From then on, he would be the lightning diagram and the lightning diagram would be him. If the diagram is destroyed, the sparrow would die. If the sparrow dies and the diagram is injured, it would be equivalent to losing his freedom for the rest of his life. After being the supreme heavenly Tao for so many years, it was naturally difficult for him to accept becoming someone else's slave all of a sudden. However, could he say no to Ning Fan? If he said no, would he be killed by the 9 Raccoon King Bao? Compared to losing his freedom, wasn't it more important to protect the fate of a clan? "You're not willing, are you?" "No. Master, you misunderstood me. Kei-gu is willing." The word "master" and the word "willing" seemed to have drained all of Kei-gu's strength. His expression became dispirited. Ning Fan was, of course, not interested in Kei-gu's inner thoughts. It was fine as long as the other party was sensible. As for Kei-gu, it was even more impossible for him to have any mercy. After all, Kei-gu was determined to kill him from the very beginning. "Since that's the case, I will start performing the technique to connect your life with my lightning diagram. During the process, I will need your cooperation. If the lightning power of the lightning diagram invades your body, you must not resist it." Understood. 3 days later, Ning Fan completed the technique of the lightning diagram and completely refined Kei-gu, who was at the 5th-level Emperor grade, into the spirit of the Tai Su lightning diagram. From now on, if Kei-gu betrays him, Ning Fan would only need a single thought to kill him through the connection of the Tai Su lightning diagram. He no longer needed Little Cat-er's help. Under Ning Fan's signal, the Tao forbidden poison in Kei-gu's body was removed by Little Cat-er. Kei-gu, who had regained his full strength, released his 5th-level Emperor-grade cultivation base without concealing it. Ning Fan could not help but nod in approval. He was a pretty good 5th tribulation immortal king realm fighter. If he encounters an immortal king of the Dabi clan in the future, he would not even need to personally take action. He could just release Kei-gu from the lightning diagram to face the enemy. Moreover, the significance of subduing Kei-gu was not just to have another 5th tribulation immortal king realm fighter. More importantly, after the Tai Su lightning diagram had fused with such a powerful spirit, the totem of the ancestral lightning sparrow was added to the ancient picture on the lightning diagram. Then, the power of the lightning diagram skyrocketed and its ability to restrain lightning was raised to an unprecedented level. With Ning Fan's current cultivation base, he could devour and dissolve all lightning attacks below the immortal emperor realm in a single blow. It could be said to be extremely powerful. If I encounter any powerful lightning cultivators in the future, I can capture them and refine them into the spirit of the lightning diagram. It should be able to make the Tai Su lightning diagram even more powerful. Ning Fan had found the direction to cultivate the Tai Su lightning diagram. Of course, the cultivation of the lightning diagram was not the most urgent matter at hand. It was time for him to cultivate with the help of the lightning power that filled the sky. The lightning power of the lightning storm that was formed from 1/10 of the lightning power of a medium-sized world was just too massive. Even if Ning Fan had the help of the Tai Su lightning diagram, he would not be able to do it without 10,000 years of hard work. Since Ning Fan had limited time, he naturally would not choose to refine such a massive amount of lightning power in the outside world. Instead, he spent nearly 1 month to continuously refine and divide the lightning power of the lightning storm. Then, he compressed them into dazzling lightning balls and sealed them. In just 1 month's time, Ning Fan had completely compressed the terrifying lightning storm into millions of lightning balls. The lightning storm dissipated and the sky returned to its original state. However, the Tao of lightning that remained in this place was still a little chaotic. Under the turbulent spiritual qi, this place was no longer suitable for cultivators to cultivate. However, this was not something that Ning Fan was concerned about. Without the obstruction of the heavenly Tao, Ning Fan easily opened the profound Yin world in the Supreme Pill sacred region and entered one of the 1,000-year-old towers in the profound Yin world. 1,000 years passed in the blink of an eye. When Ning Fan walked out of the tower, other than looking a little more tired and his qi becoming slightly stronger, there were not many changes to him. He had gone through a minor heavenly tribulation in the tower. Naturally, this minor heavenly tribulation could not hurt Ning Fan at all. After 1,000 years and 1 million lightning balls, I have only refined around 60,000 of them. Sure enough, it's not an easy task to refine all of these lightning power. Without much hesitation, Ning Fan entered the second 1,000-year-old tower. Then, he entered the third, the fourth and the fifth tower. It was only when Ning Fan walked out of the 17th 1,000-year-old tower that his qi experienced an obvious change. Yin-yang lightning, completed. Ning Fan's bone age, on the other hand, had become 60,000 years old due to the continuous cultivation of time. Yin-yang lightning was the fourth yin-yang ancient god realm that Ning Fan had successfully cultivated. The completion of the yin-yang lightning naturally caused his ancient god cultivation base to improve tremendously. His ancient god cultivation base had advanced to the peak of the mid-shedding void realm. If it wasn't because of the shedding void tribulation, Ning Fan could totally break through to the late shedding void realm by relying on the yin-yang lightning. In fact, it was quite possible for him to break through to the peak shedding void realm. The void renunciation tribulation was really a troublesome bottleneck. To Ning Fan's ancient devil and Jie Shui cultivation base, the increase of his ancient god cultivation base was somewhat insignificant to the total amount of magic power he had. However, it was of great help to the fusion and qualitative change of the 4 elements in his body. Ning Fan could feel that along with the improvement of his ancient god cultivation base, some kind of qualitative change between his 4 elements seemed to have taken another step forward. The millions of streams turning into a sea was getting closer and closer. If Ning Fan's qi was at the lower second tribulation immortal king realm before he successfully cultivated the yin-yang lightning, his qi had now reached the middle second tribulation immortal king realm. In the profound Yin world, Ning Fan glanced at the time tower. There were still 28,000-year-old towers and 9 10,000-year-old towers. As long as he had enough resources, he would still have a lot of room to improve his strength with the help of these sealed years. Ning Fan raised his hand and pointed at the sky. Suddenly, a scroll of ancient scripture appeared in midair. It was the first volume of the Tao scripture that Ning Fan created on the wooden island. Now, the content of the first volume of the Tao scripture had increased. The ancient god yin-yang scripture had 4 chapters: rain chapter, war chapter, dark chapter and lightning chapter. The ancient demon yin-yang scripture had 1 chapter, phoenix chapter. The ancient demon yin-yang scripture had 1 chapter, wood chapter. Now that I've created the first volume of the Tao scripture to cultivate the 27 yin-yang qi, it's convenient but also troublesome. The convenience is that all the yin and yang qi that I've cultivated have a unified cultivation method. When I use different types of energy, I don't need to use multiple cultivation methods at the same time. This avoids the disorder of magic power that might occur when I use multiple cultivation methods. The trouble is that creating my own cultivation method is obviously more troublesome than searching for existing cultivation methods. If I want to cultivate other yin and yang qi, I'll need to create other chapters of the Tao scripture. With the restriction of the shedding void tribulation, even if I successfully cultivate the yin-yang qi, I won't be able to trigger a drastic change in my cultivation base. For example, I've already successfully cultivated the yin-yang lightning, which should be enough for me to break through to the peak of the shedding void realm. However, I'm still stuck at the peak of the mid-shedding void realm because of the heart tribulation. No matter how many time towers I have, I should still use them rationally. Instead of using them to cultivate the cultivation base of the ancient gods and ancient demons that are hindered by the heart tribulation, I might as well use them to cultivate the cultivation base of the ancient devils. The cultivation base of the ancient devils should be the breakthrough point for my cultivation base to skyrocket within a short period of time. However, it's still not enough. What should I do to rescue Sovereign 2 under the watchful eyes of the countless experts of the Saint Mountain and under the eyes of the Light Buddha? What should I do after rescuing him? Perhaps there are some misunderstandings in my thinking. Rescuing Sovereign 2 from the Light Buddha doesn't mean that I need to have the strength to fight him head-on. I can also borrow strength from others. He still had the extreme yang water that he obtained from the Yellow Spring. To a quasi-saint, it was a good item. If he uses this item as a trade, would he be able to invite the 5 great supreme beings of Great Bay to help him? Perhaps, the trade would be successful or it might fail. The so-called 5 great supreme beings would be envious of him and kill him for his treasures, or perhaps, he could use the extreme yang water himself. Forget it. There are still a few months before Sovereign 2's execution. I still have time to come up with a good plan. I'll first try the ancient country trading formation that Old Wu offered me and see what kind of benefits I can get from it. Ning Fan left the profound Yin world and returned to the outside world. He did not continue to stay on this continent that was filled with chaotic spiritual qi. Instead, he soared into the sky and flew across tens of desolate continents. Then, he found another continent that was sparsely populated and had excellent spiritual qi to settle down. He chose a forest with ancient trees. Occasionally, some devil beasts would attack Ning Fan in the forest. However, all of them fell into an illusion technique under the gaze of his Fuli demon eye and turned into his most loyal servants, patrolling the surroundings. In an open space in the forest, Ning Fan took out a pile of Great Bay's gold and silver. In order to set up the ancient country trading formation, a certain amount of heavenly Tao gold and silver would be required as the materials. During the trade, the heavenly Tao gold and silver would certainly be used. Therefore, the first thing Ning Fan needed to do was to extract the heavenly Tao gold and silver from the Great Bay's gold and silver. With Ning Fan's attainments in the Tao of formations, he easily set up the ancient country refining formation and began to extract the heavenly Tao silver. The extraction process was not smooth. During the first extraction, more than 1,000 taels of silver were directly burned into ashes by the formation fire of the refining formation. The second extraction failed as well and he lost another 1,000 taels of silver. The third time, the fourth time, the reason why he failed in the beginning was because he was unfamiliar with the ancient country refinement formation. Thus, it was inevitable that his technique would be a little jerky. However, as the number of failures increased, Ning Fan's technique became more and more refined. Finally, he succeeded on the 23rd attempt. From the 1,000 taels of heavenly Tao silver, he managed to extract a small amount of heavenly Tao silver shavings. After that, the refinement process became much smoother. Out of 10 attempts, he could basically succeed 5 times. In just the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, he had finished refining all the great humble gold and silver that he had. In total, he obtained 1 tael of Heaven's Path gold and 2 chien, and 9 taels of Heaven's Path silver and 7 chien. 1 tael was equivalent to 10 chien, and the total amount of Heaven's Path silver he obtained was less than 10 taels, much lower than what he had expected. Even though my refining technique is much purer, it is still not perfect. Otherwise, I would definitely be able to refine more heavenly Tao gold and silver. I wonder what this bit of heavenly Tao gold and silver can buy. Ning Fan took out the jade slip of the ancient country trading formation that Old Wu presented to him. He sent his spirit sense into it and studied it carefully. There were 2 ways to set up the ancient country exchange formation. The first was the official formation, which would directly make a deal with the sky-reaching church, the legendary ancient sacred sect. The second method was to trade with the cultivators in the myriad worlds in the heavens. Ning Fan used one tael of heavenly Tao's silver shavings and many other formation-setting materials to set up an official formation. It was a grand formation. The formation covered an area of several li. There were countless illusory formation eyes but only one actual formation eye. As soon as the formation was activated, a gigantic bronze scale that was 100 zhang in size suddenly appeared at the location of the only actual formation eye. That bronze scale was sometimes illusory and sometimes real. It was extremely strange. When Ning Fan reached out his hand to touch it, he could sometimes feel the actual form of the scale but sometimes he couldn't. Little friend, are you a cultivator from the illusory dream world? It seems like it's your first time using the ancient country trading formation. You're very interested in the illusory image of this ancient scale. A voice suddenly resounded from within the formation. That voice gave off a distant feeling as if it came from an immeasurable distance away through the connection of the ancient country trading formation. The voice sounded a little old. It sounded like an elderly man. Due to the disruption of the ancient country trading formation, his qi became erratic, making it hard to determine his cultivation base. That's right. It's indeed my first time using the ancient country trading formation. Are you a disciple of the heaven-reaching church? May I know how I should address you? Ning Fan asked. Hee. You've violated a taboo by asking me this question. Be it the official formation or the private formation, the first rule of the ancient country trading formation is to never inquire about the other party's background. This is also the reason why I didn't ask about your identity at all. You should know that in this world, there are many transactions that can be completed. However, if you know the other party's identity, you might not be able to complete the transaction due to the grudges you have in your standpoint. Let's cut the nonsense. Just tell me what you want to buy from my heaven-reaching church, right? The elderly man's voice answered. This is a transaction that will never reveal the other party's identity. The security of the ancient country trading formation is indeed very high. Ning Fan nodded his head in satisfaction. In fact, he was also a little vigilant when he set up this official formation. This question was just a test. After all, he was born in the illusory dream world which was created by immortal sovereign Zido. If this cross-border transaction with the heaven-reaching church of the true world brought any calamity to the illusory dream world, it would not be worth it. As long as the other party tries to sense or probe his world plane through the ancient country trading formation, he would immediately destroy the formation and stop the other party from sensing him. Fortunately, this kind of concern was a little unnecessary. The heaven-reaching church seemed to abide by their rules and regulations. They would not probe any customer who came to trade with them. I don't have a lot of heavenly Tao gold and silver in my hands. I might not be able to buy anything too good from your church. Ning Fan withdrew his thoughts and said. Hee. You don't have to worry about the amount of money in the transaction. The principle that my church pursues is to strive for even the slightest amount of money. Even if I can only earn 1 cent of heavenly Tao silver from you in this transaction, I will still serve you with all my heart. You just need to tell me what you want to buy. I want to buy some materials for puppets. I also want to buy some blueprints for them. They should be around the level of a quasi-emperor realm puppet. I also want to buy some devil Tao cultivation methods. It would be best if they can reach the level of a 9 stars cultivation method. I don't know. The blueprints and materials for a quasi-emperor realm puppet. 9 stars cultivation method of the devil Tao. 9 stars cultivation method of the devil Tao. Depending on the type, the price of a 9 stars cultivation method will vary greatly. Even the cheapest cultivation technique costed at least 10 taels of heaven's Tao silver each. If it were the more powerful cultivation techniques, they could even sell for 100 or 200 taels of heaven's Tao gold. I wonder if you have any specific requirements for the demonic cultivation method that you want? How to choose the 5 elements? Or do I need some special cultivation method? Please elaborate, Your Excellency. As for the materials for the Quasi-Emperor puppet blueprint, there are many different types, and their prices range from 1 tael of silver to 100 taels of silver. Do you have a name for the materials that you need? The old man's introduction made Ning Fan feel rather helpless. He seemed to be a little poor. Even the cheapest demonic Dao cultivation technique needed 10 taels of heaven Dao silver. Originally, he had wanted to buy some demonic cultivation techniques to use as reference in preparation for writing other Taoist scriptures in the future. But now, it seemed that this idea was a little difficult. It was better for him to buy the materials for his puppet first. Now that he could already enter the profound Yin world, he planned to use the countless years in the Time Tower to refine a Quasi-Emperor realm spiritual puppet. It would at least increase the chances of rescuing Emperor Tuesday. Dare I ask what is the exchange rate for gold and silver? Ning Fan didn't answer but asked back. 1 gold is worth 10 silver. I see. I only have 1 to 2 qian of heavenly Dao gold and 8 to 7 qian of heavenly Dao silver. I don't want to buy the 9 stars devil art. Sell me the blueprint of a Quasi-Emperor realm spiritual puppet first. I will decide which materials to buy based on the blueprint. The blueprint of a spiritual puppet, huh? There are a total of 306 drawings of Quasi-Emperor realm spiritual puppets in our sect's treasury. Little friend, you can have a look at them and decide which one you need. As soon as the old man's voice fell, one end of the bronze scale suddenly flashed with light. Then, within the light, a jade slip that was sometimes real and sometimes illusory slowly appeared. The jade slip then flew towards Ning Fan. Ning Fan held it in his hand and scanned it with his spirit sense. This jade slip recorded the introduction of all the drawings of Quasi-Emperor realm spiritual puppets in the heaven-reaching sect's treasury. It was also marked with their prices. The blueprint of the fire crystal puppet was a puppet with the fire crystal unique to the fire world as its core. It was priced at 4 taels and 9 qian of silver. The blueprint of the earth puppet was a puppet with the white soil as its skin. It was priced at 3 to 4 qian of silver. The blueprint of the giant minister puppet was a puppet with the scales of the giant minister as its armor. It was priced at 6 to 6 qian of silver. All of a sudden, Ning Fan found the price of the lotus root puppet among the many blueprints. The blueprint of the lotus root puppet was a puppet with the lotus root of fate as its body. It was priced at 2 to 1 qian of silver. This blueprint was exactly what Ning Fan needed. However, judging from the price of the blueprint, a spiritual puppet that was refined using the lotus root of fate did not seem to be a high-grade item. Forget it. Ning Fan does not have the main material needed to refine a high-grade item. I only have the lotus root of fate. I'll just buy this blueprint. I want the blueprint of the lotus root puppet. The lotus root puppet, huh? You shouldn't think that the other materials for this puppet are also cheap just because the blueprint of the lotus root puppet is cheap. The materials needed to refine this puppet are quite expensive. They are even more expensive than some mid-grade Quasi-Emperor realm spiritual puppets. For example, the main material, the lotus root of fate, is priced at 12 to 4 qian of heavenly Dao gold. If it is converted to silver, it would be 124 qian of silver. Are you sure you want this blueprint? A lotus root of fate is already so expensive. Didn't old Wu say that his master bought a innate magic treasure with 2 to 3 heavenly Dao gold? I'm sure. I just want this blueprint. However, I have an unrelated question that I would like to ask. I have a friend who bought a low-grade innate magic treasure from your sect with 3 to 4 taels of heavenly Dao gold. Could it be that the innate magic treasures of your sect are sold at a very low price? Hee hee. 3 to 4 taels of heavenly Dao gold to buy an innate magic treasure? Most likely, it's just a processed product. Any ordinary innate magic treasure would be worth 20 taels of gold. Of course, there would occasionally be some problematic items among the goods that my sect collects from the various worlds. These items would be sold at a low price. Without a doubt, the item that your friend bought is probably a processed product. How about it? You seem to be very interested in processed products. Do you want to take a look at the current list of processed products of my sect? Perhaps there might be something that you need. I'm actually quite interested in the processed products of your sect. However, judging from your tone, it seems like your sect will also purchase all kinds of goods from the various worlds. That's right. If you are in urgent need of money, you can also sell some of your valuable items to my sect. Of course, the price that my sect will purchase will certainly not be higher than the market price. Besides, my sect will not purchase any goods that are below the true immortal grade. I see. All of a sudden, Ning Fan had a strong interest in this ancient country's trading formation and the heaven-reaching sect that was behind it. He had a lot of good items with him, but he also had a lot of useless items. If he sells them to the heaven-reaching sect, he would probably be able to exchange them for a lot of money. Of course, the first thing he should do is to complete the transaction of the blueprint. The jade slip that recorded the details of the blueprint suddenly made a chi sound and disappeared from Ning Fan's hand. Then, a tightly sealed blueprint that was sometimes real and sometimes illusory appeared on one end of the bronze scale. All of a sudden, the scale that was initially balanced on both sides tilted towards one side of the blueprint. You can place the gold and silver on the other side of the scale. If the scale is balanced, the transaction will be completed. The elderly man said. Ning Fan did as he was told. He placed 2 taels of silver and 1 copper coin of heavenly Tao silver on the other side of the scale, restoring the balance of the scale that was initially tilted. As soon as the scale was balanced, a vast and mighty force suddenly spread out from it. The surrounding heaven and earth even began to switch between illusory and real due to the momentum of the scale. A strong sense of danger spread out from the scale, causing Ning Fan to subconsciously move a little further away from the scale. Then, the elderly man's warning reached him. Be careful, sir. Right now, the scale of the ancient country is exerting its power to carry out the exchange of worlds. If you get too close to it, you will be involved in the exchange and lose your life. Chi. Countless rays of light flashed on both sides of the scale. Amidst the light, the heavenly Tao silver that Ning Fan placed on the scale suddenly disappeared. Then, the blueprint that was initially illusory suddenly became solid and turned into a ray of light, flying into Ning Fan's palm. The transaction of the blueprint of the lotus root puppet was successful. So, this is the ancient country's trading formation. It's really unbelievable. It can actually teleport the goods of the true world to my hands across countless worlds. This kind of teleportation ability was simply unheard of. The capabilities of the heaven-reaching sect were indeed incredible. Ning Fan opened the blueprint and scanned through it. He already had most of the materials needed to make the lotus root puppet. He did not lack the main materials either. He just needed to buy some leftover materials from the heaven-reaching sect. Thus, in the remaining time, Ning Fan spent a total of 5 taels of silver and 1 copper coin of heavenly Tao silver to buy all the materials from the heaven-reaching sect. As long as he had enough time, he would be able to refine the quasi-emperor puppet at any time. Every time the ancient country's trading formation is activated, it will last for 6 hours. Is there anything else that you want to buy? The elderly man asked. I would like to see the details of the processed goods of your sect. All right. Please wait for a moment, sir. After making a lot of transactions with Ning Fan, the elderly man seemed to be in a good mood. His tone towards Ning Fan had also become more enthusiastic. Not long after, a jade slip that was sometimes illusory and sometimes real was sent to Ning Fan's hand by the bronze scale. Ning Fan scanned the jade slip with his spirit sense and was instantly speechless. He somewhat understood why Old Wu's master could buy a Xiantian magical treasure with 3 taels of gold. The so-called processed goods definitely had unimaginable flaws. That was why they would be sold at such a low price by a profit-seeking sect like the heaven-reaching sect. Ning Fan had found quite a number of such processed Xiantian magical treasures. Toxic polluted ancient emperor's scepter, Xiantian low grade. Because it has been permeated by a toxic poison, every time the user uses this treasure, their divine sense will be corroded by a certain amount of poison. It is extremely harmful to immortal emperors below the 8th tribulation. Therefore, The price is reduced by 4 gold and 6 chien, cursed flying canopy cloud-piercing boots, Xiantian low-grade flying escape magic treasure. This item has been corroded by curse techniques and cannot be dispelled. The user will feel dizzy and feverish day and night, and the symptoms will worsen day by day. Finally, the user's sea of consciousness will collapse and he or she will die. Dao-seeking sword that devours the host, innate low grade. Every time this sword is used, it will devour the host's cultivation, causing the host's cultivation to drop continuously. Price, 5 to 5 coins, nebula chain of killing relatives to prove the Dao, jade belt that suffered divine wrath, using the jade rui that can die 3 times. Ning Fan searched for a long time, but he couldn't find anything useful in the processed products. Not only the magic treasures, but all the other processed products were also unusable. All of a sudden, Ning Fan noticed an item among the processed products. Dark immortal cloud haunted by bad luck, a cloud-type escaping treasure that can be used together with the host's escaping technique to greatly increase the host's flying speed. The disadvantage is that every time it is used, it will taint the host's luck. The original price is 313 gold, and the processed price is 13 gold and 4 coins. I got it. It seems like this processed product can't be used by others, but Ning Fan can. Could it be? Old Wu's master was the same as me in the past, exchanging for something that will taint one's luck from the processed products? Ning Fan guessed. He was from the Fuli tribe that had tainted luck. Although his luck had changed, he was still not afraid of any misfortune in the world. This treasure might be able to destroy the luck of others, but it was harmless to him. At the same time, Ning Fan was tempted by the treasure's ability to enhance his escaping technique. How could the power of a Xiantian realm escaping magical treasure be weak? This was an item that was originally priced at 313 gold. Even after processing, it could still be sold for 13 gold. This is definitely a good item. Unfortunately, Ning Fan couldn't afford it. I want to buy this black immortal cloud. However, I'm a little short of money. I wonder if I can sell some of my belongings to exchange for some heavenly Dao gold and silver. Of course. As long as it's goods above the true immortal realm, my sect will not reject anyone. Of course, the price will not satisfy you. It doesn't matter. As long as you can exchange it for money. Ning Fan took out a pile of junk from his storage pouch. Saying that they were junk was only relative to Ning Fan. To ordinary true immortals, there were many treasures in Ning Fan's junk. Oh. You do have quite a lot of good items. Let me calculate the purchasing price of first Nirvana postnatal magical treasures. 100 of them will be 1 silver coin. 100 of them will be 2 silver coins. A third Nirvana postnatal magical treasures will be. The heaven-reaching sect only purchases postnatal magical treasures by 100. So, postnatal magical treasures are really cheap. Come to think of it, most of the intact innate magical treasures are only worth a few tens of gold. How could postnatal magical treasures be expensive? Moreover, they are still being sold at a discount. After selling all the junk magical treasures that he had no use for, Ning Fan only earned 3 silver coins of heavenly Dao silver, which was less than 1 silver coin. Of course, he also had some good items that he could sell. However, since they were good items, why would he sell them at a loss? It seems like I won't be able to earn much money just by selling my junk. I can only give up on this black immortal cloud for now. After the transaction ended, Ning Fan stopped the trading formation of the ancient country and erased all traces of the formation. After that, he entered the profound Yin world and used 4 Millennium Towers in a row to refine the Quasi-Emperor realm's spiritual puppet. There were only 24 Millennium Pagodas left. During the process of refining the spiritual puppet, Sha Beilu's primordial spirit was naturally used as the material to refine the spiritual puppet. The appearance of the spiritual puppet was refined into the appearance of a burly man by Ning Fan. His appearance was ugly but ferocious. His facial expression was always a hideous smile. It had its own spiritual intelligence, but it was not very high. It would obey Ning Fan's orders with absolute obedience, and its mind was filled with the desire to kill. Obviously, Ning Fan had successfully refined a slaughtering weapon that satisfied him by borrowing Sha Beilu's primordial spirit. In this way, Ning Fan not only had Kei Gu, the primogenitor lightning sparrow, as his fighter, but also this humanoid slaughtering weapon that was comparable to a quasi-emperor realm expert. Under the situation where an immortal emperor does not show up, he could totally do whatever he wants. I don't need you for the time being. Go to sleep. Understood. As soon as Ning Fan gave the order, the burly man who had a hideous smile on his face suddenly transformed into a palm-sized lotus root baby. When Ning Fan uses it, he could awaken it again and start slaughtering everywhere. There are still countless gold and silver circulating among the people of Great Bay. If I take all of their gold and silver and refine them into heavenly Dao gold and silver, I wonder how much I can refine. What good items can I buy from the heaven-reaching sect? The waters of Great Bay are too deep. If I openly plunder their money and silver, some people might guess that I have the method to set up the ancient country's refining formation and trading formation. A formation of this level would probably be extremely tempting even to the 5 supreme beings. If I just go against Great Bay, Supreme Being Nyo Gue and the others probably won't interfere. After all, quasi-saints avoid karma like snakes and scorpions. When I successfully escaped from Lioli City that day, the 2 supreme beings of Lioli City, Nyo Gue and Shifeng, did not interfere. This is the proof. However, if I leak the information about the ancient country's second formation, I'm not sure if those old monsters will lay their hands on me because of the benefits. Since the gold and silver of Great Bay are beneficial to me, I naturally have to take them all. However, I have my ways to do so. It's not just about the gold and silver of Great Bay. There are other things that I need to do. I'm a little curious about why the immortal emperor of the Sound Thunder clan would suddenly attack me when he had no grudge against me. Who exactly is the one behind this? Ning Fan touched his face with his palm. The silver ghost mask that he had not used for a long time appeared on his face bit by bit. Then, his black hair turned silver because of the ghost mask's ability. The silver hair of the ghost mask. Because of the improvement of Ning Fan's cultivation base, the effect of chi concealment was even better than before. Under the ghost mask, Ning Fan's eyes were unprecedentedly cold. He was never the kind of person who would suffer losses. Since he had fallen in the Great Bay clan, the person who caused him to fall must pay the price. Sacred Mountain. Sound Thunder Clan. With a chi sound, Ning Fan's body flashed with red light and disappeared.